Good morning, everybody. Good to see all of you fine people out there. I hope you're having a wonderful day. You love this quiet time as dawn's slowly breaking. Yes, it is a wonderful thing. Looks like a bright sunshine on the horizon this morning. That would dry things up a bit more around there. Nice moderate temps today as well. That's wonderful. Mm, 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 mm. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Good to see you, Cynthia. First Higgles, only just. That's wonderful. 2:14 in the morning. I see what time. I see what time the MG shut down. Oh my gosh. Is spill some coffee on that light button and you're on your way in. Oh, that's so nice of you, Zach. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, yes, yes. Spill some coffee on that like button. And top of the shizzy whiz nuts, the steamy mates. Good stuff, good stuff. Brenda, good to see you. Knock it off, Lure. Oh my gosh, it is so wonderful. We've got JW. Captain Kern, good morning, y'all. At 11:30 in the morning has his catheter procedure in Greeley. Then just after you will have an echo done. It's going to be a long day. It's because hopefully they're not using too short of a catheter for you. So morning, pup just woke up at barking at thunder. Oh, that's always fun. Starzy, good morning, Emma's girl. Oh my gosh. Yeah, be safe, Captain Kern. That's never any fun, especially if it's crooked. It looks like a skewer. That's Friday. It's Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Really, happy Friday. Mm. To make it worse, you can't have coffee. Oh, that's true. That's true. You can't have anything, really. Good morning. Daughter's coming to visit for a week, Mickey D. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Cannot wait to hug her. That's a beautiful thing. I love hearing that. That just makes my heart jump. Oh boy. I'm not sure I'm ready for this morning. I'm not sure if I'm ready for the day, so you're waking up with me. Name is 380. I love it. I love it. Oh my. Well, let's see. Might as well get into it because you know we will have to at some point. Eh, Trump recommits to September 10th and then lashes out at Harris during a news conference. And of course, he boasts of his crowd on January 6th, which actually was a very large crowd at that. If you've seen um, any of the footage of that day, he had a pretty large crowd. If you say, "Well, I didn't see the footage of that day," then don't say anything about January 6th. Don't say anything about January 6th. Uh, of course, he insisted there was a peaceful transfer of power on the 21st. Now, they can lie and say that it was not peaceful, but there was a peaceful transfer of power. There was no coup. There was no insurrection. You had a bunch of people that went in to have their voices heard, and it turned ugly. And those people are in prison right now. Some of them have been freed. They don't tell you about the judge freeing a particular doctor, do they? They don't talk about that because of the Supreme Court's ruling. They don't talk about any of that. No, 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 no. There's a lot of things they don't talk about, but the AP will keep running this complete narrative, as will the rest of the press, um, and that's sort of sad. It's sort of sad that they will continue to run the narrative that there was some sort of coup, that there was some sort of insurrection. Japan had a 7. Yeah, I saw that. By the way, everybody, happy Nagasaki Day. Happy Nagasaki Day. That was the bomb that stopped everything. Ugh. Yeah. Yes, it was absolutely uglier during the Kavanaugh hearing. Yes. Oh, I guess they don't talk about people showing up at judges' houses and uh, and threatening their families. They don't talk about that, do they? Mm. Yeah. As the Republican presidential nominee addressed reporters at his Palm Beach, Florida estate, ABC announced that Trump and Harris, the Democrat nominee, have agreed to a September 10th debate, setting up a widely anticipated face-off in an already unparalleled election. But he proposed 3 debates because he's going to be at 3 different debates. One of those is the September 10th debate. Hmm. Yeah. But you also have to remember that right now, Camel Toe is doing the same thing Joe did in 2020. Yeah, we can't talk about BLM and Antifa attacking the Capitol on January 6th. Yeah, we can't talk about that. So, shh. But um there is a amazing amazing thing with all of this, that they continue to fail at ridiculously amounts. That Camel Toe is using the basement defense. She's basement campaigning. And what her way of doing this is she doesn't talk to reporters. She will only talk in front of large crowds or any crowds as much as possible, which we'll get into that in a bit. She only talks in front of crowds, and she will only talk in front of them for a period of time. Most of the talking is done by her VP. She takes a back seat to him because she's an unlikable candidate. And if she gets up and speaks, it comes off weird and kooky, and and she can't help but cackle or randomly say things that make absolutely no sense. This is how she operates. Um and because Joe was so far gone in the head that he had to do his campaigning from a basement, because anytime he went out in front of a crowd, the crowd was so small that it looked bad. Large crowds at her free concerts. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody pointed something out yesterday. I think you guys might find it interesting also. Let me show this to you, because somebody else pointed this out and I was like, no, that can't be true. This got to be fake. Give me just a second and I'm going to show you this because it is interesting to me. And I'll see if you guys can spot it also. And let's see here. All right. Share this tab right here. Now, you might be looking at this on your phone and you're going, sure. But if you look, this is one of the crowds at the Harris campaign. And you'll find something really odd about this. and I'll point this out. This phone right here is facing a little bit off this way. Is facing off this way, just a little bit off this way, but it's getting a picture of a hanger that's up here somewhere. This phone is getting very few bodies, and he doesn't have it up much higher. Like this guy's hands are in the way. He's getting a picture of an aircraft. So the aircraft is here. Here is the aircraft. Here is the tail of the aircraft. And this picture right here has got a picture of the tail with his phone facing off that direction. This lady is got almost the same picture as this guy, and it's facing off sort of the same direction as the aircraft. You've got this guy, which has the same picture as this guy right here, and he's or she, maybe it could be a she, and she's facing again off here. So whenever I saw this, I was like, and this person here looks like they're getting a picture of somebody's hand. So this one right here, it looks like they're trying to get this picture here, but they've got somebody's hand in the way. That's not, it took me a second to figure out what it was, but it looks like this person is getting this person's hand in the way, or another hand that I can't see. So whenever I saw all of this, you would think that this camera, this guy right here, would have to get past it. He would have had this guy's hands in the way. He would have had this guy's hands in the way. He would have gotten these hands in the way. All of these people's hands would have been in the way because it's how far back he is. Yeah, you like my drawings? So whenever I saw this, I was like, okay, so why is it that everybody has different images on their phones? And then some of these, you're just too blurry to really tell. I was like, well, there is a possibility that maybe it's just me, that maybe I'm seeing things wrong. But no, there's some thoughts out there that this was just uh, a AI kind of thing that did this. I ran it through the AI generator, and they said no. It seems like it's pretty legit. Um, and so I was like, all right, well, if that's legit, then what about this one? And I'll show you this one right here. So this is the other picture that was taken. This is a different one, but it's coming from the same area. And I looked at all of these pictures, and none of them have the same image on them. And I looked pretty close at some of these, and I'm just like, okay, am I missing something? Am I missing something here altogether? I cannot even tell what some of these have on them. Some of these are like old Nokias or something. Like a lot of these are like really old iPhones or Nokias, or I don't know. Like it is so crazy to me that I see all of these people piled up, but it's you can't distinguish what they're taking a picture of. I mean, some of these, the way that they're holding their phone makes no sense. Like they've got pictures on there, but they're not the right thing. Stephen, who? Woo, what? AI? I don't know. It could be anything. You know, it honestly could be just about anything. I never know, but it's
Nice.
happy Nagasaki Day.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good, Mr. Maximura. Good to see you.
So Nagasaki Day, yeah. So this was kind of funny. The Nagasaki Memorial Service was the United States ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel. He was a former chief of staff for Obama, former Illinois
Oh,
congressman.
that's right.
Well, he there's two explanations. He actually boycotted both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki service,
Man.
because, and I don't necessarily agree with it, both the Hiroshima and Nagasaki decided this year to disinvite the Israeli ambassador, as
Mm.
they did, I think, with the Russian ambassador in Belarus or something.
Yeah.
And so the White House spokesperson, the black woman with the crazy hair, Lapierre,
Yeah.
she yesterday indicated a statement indicating that the White House had no say or knowledge of this. This was entirely a decision that the president's ambassador to Japan, Rom, did on his own. Now, I'm just being fair. It's now being it. I initially heard that he was doing this in solidarity and in protest with because of the disinvitation for Israel. But also, I was told initially that he was doing this with Ambassador Bloom, who is the British ambassador to Japan.
Gotcha.
But now I'm told that all G7 countries, so that would include Canada, Germany, France, probably forgot one or two, on top of UK, I can't count.
Yeah.
They all their ambassador, and the EU is also included in the G7, European Union, Italy, they all their apparently their ambassador did not go because of the specific thing against Israel. However, in the Japanese news, Max Jr. reported to me, he said, "Hey, the Japanese media are openly asking, who does he represent? Who does Rahm Emanuel, the U.S. ambassador to Japan, represent? Is he representing? Remember, the U.S. ambassador serves at the pleasure of the United States president, right?
Right.
But is he representing the United States, or is he representing Israel?" And kind of a fair question.
That is a fair question. This is a very fair question.
For people to say, well, how dare you do this? I'll point. Look, what if you had, for example, an American of Korean descent? We've had ambassadors. Sung Kim, he is the first Korean American United States ambassador to South Korea. He was ambassador of the North Korean talks. I think he was ambassador Philippines, and also can't remember Indonesia. Anyways, what if he suddenly made a specific decision as a United States ambassador, but it's really on behalf of his ancestral homeland, South Korea or North Korea?
That's and that's the thing is we are allies with Japan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's just how if it was something from the Biden administration where the president, the White House said, yeah, we want to stand with Israel on this,
right.
This, yeah. But that now, because I'm pointing out that Rahm Emanuel, you might not know this, but he was, I did indicate he was former mayor of Chicago at the time that Jussie Smollett, the famous French actor, he was attacked by two obviously racist mega supporters, Trump supporters, in the middle of winter.
In the middle of winter,
terrible hate crime,
Yes.
And I don't think Chicago will ever recover from this. He was.
I don't think so either, especially in the wintertime, because it goes to show that you can't be a black man
only thing you can get in
Subway
Chicago
at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Subway. People are starving.
People are 2 o'clock in the morning at going to a Subway. I mean, this is clearly like the only time that they would do it.
I do that all the time,
especially the coldest winter day. That was, how dare they?
But Rahm Emanuel was also congressman for Illinois.
Yep,
and this is an interesting thing. So his father, I always forget the name of the group, but so he from his father was, I would call it, one of the founding fathers of the state of Israel. Before Israel became a state, there was in 1946 there was a bombing of the King David Hotel. So his father Benjamin was one of the planners of this, and I think he passed on the messages to Menachem Begin, who later became prime minister. They killed a number of Israelis and British Palestinians and stuff like that.
Yes,
but I also remember, because Max Jr. was doing a little bit of research, when you're looking at how Israel really actually has a world-class top education system
Yeah, it
that
does.
feeds both into their military for cybersecurity and also into the private sector. So,
Mhm.
oh, I got an alarm.
Oh,
Emergency alarm, earthquake warning.
yes,
Hit.
7. You've got it. You got it. Are you gonna be okay?
I think so. Just waiting. It might shake a bit or something.
Well,
Um, and then in the event, well, when I was looking at how they do their, their training, their recruiting, and everything else, it's shaking a bit. Fuck, I hate this. The What I believe Rom did as a congressman is he passed the Illinois Community College system, so you could go there for next to nothing. Work study program with the Department of Defense, the United States DoD, and so this was a really good thing. You're getting good people. You're getting them an education. They're not walking out with either a totally useless degree in gender studies or something,
right.
um, and no debt, and they have a career and a job, and
Yes.
you are actually building that infrastructure, which also goes into the private sector.
Yeah.
So how did he know how where would he have gotten this inspiration? Well, in 1991 there was a thing called the Gulf War, and so he was there initially. I will find materials still. So he served in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, um,
Mhm.
as I think in intelligence,
Yeah. I
given
think
his
that's
father's
right.
prestige. Now, it was in a forward operating base, an IDF Army operating base, just south of the border with Lebanon. But when he became before he became chief of staff for Obama, you see, I've had an opportunity to look at some of the security clearances, and one of the things is for serving. I think it would probably exclude you if you had served for a foreign military power, right?
Mhm.
So if you look now, you will see that any reference to him having ever served a day in the IDF is a lie or misinformation or fake news.
Yes. Well,
So
and
look it up right now. And so what it does say, at some points it got replaced, and they said, no, no, no. In 1991, he was in Israel. He was doing strictly part-time volunteer work at a library. So made it clear he never served in the IDF. And it was yes, it was during the it was a part-time role. He was working in the library as a volunteer. Okay, here's the important question. Where was it? Where was this library that he was working part-time and not in the IDF? Oh,
yeah.
it was in a forward IDF Army operating base just south of the border with Lebanon.
Oh man.
Okay,
Oh
so
man.
you forget. No, so I don't mind. I'm not like one of these weirdos who goes free Palestine and everything else. I think there's I've covered the kind of the really kind of evil, dirty history of the origins of Palestinian terrorism. I mean, from 1972,
Oh yeah.
they both you had the Japanese Red Army in the May of 1972. They did kind of a suicide attack at the Lod airport. Um, it was the first time that the Palestinians actually thought, "Damn, you went balls to the walls on that." The whole concept of suicide missions was not in their vocabulary. It
No.
wasn't in their vocabulary in September of 1972 when the Black September group, they killed about
Nope.
13 Israeli
Yeah, I think that's what it
athletes
was.
in Munich at the Olympic Games in Munich. So it wasn't in their vocabulary. Now, the training and the funding and equipping of both of these groups, the Black September group and also the Lod Airport. You know where it was? Was it in Saudi Arabia? Was it in Egypt? Yeah, makes sense, right? Nope.
Yes.
It was over in North Korea.
Ah.
Kim Il Sung, at that point, the leader of North Korea, was training the Japanese Red Army and the Palestinians.
Well, I gotta give a shout out here really quick to
Yeah,
Volstorm. Oh, this is awesome. If you guys want to check out Dictionary Diva and Belv's stream from last night, go check it out. There's a link to it. Everybody go check that thing out because I did not get a chance to. I did not realize that was last night. I know I was told, but I didn't realize it was last night, and I
you have a
really
dictionary game.
wanted to see that.
Okay,
No, Dictionary Diva and Belle V, they got together and had a stream, and I've been wanting to see that. Oh my gosh, because that just I think that could have broke the internet. But I got on my high horse last night and was watching. What's the name of it? This kid that remember that kid that high school that got his Nintendo Switch taken away and stomped a
Oh yeah,
teacher
yeah.
unconscious. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
so doctors have
watching.
proven
Yeah,
not to give him any sort of sentence, and they're saying, he had special needs, and his adoptive mother is actually suing the school board or suing because she's claiming you should have known, but I don't know. It's a
that that
the victim still has trauma. And I think
yeah,
she definitely has lost income and she lost her job.
yeah.
I originally thought the victim should be the ones suing the school board and suing, Um,
This lady is psycho. I watched her get on
oh,
the stand and testify. She was making an impact statement last night, and my heart breaks for this kid. She was pumping him full of drugs, taking him to multiple different locations to get him pumped full of drugs, and her excuse was because he was black and autistic. And
wait,
so
wait. So the one of the things she claims he was not only autistic but he had ADHD. So when you say pumping full of drugs, was she script shopping around so he could get a
she didn't
maximum dose of
she did not like the
stimulus
prescription that he
medication?
was getting from one doctor, so she would take him to another doctor. She didn't
And,
like
and,
the
and
way
and
that he was reacting.
because she's
They
a doctor, so she would think, well,
no,
he's really big for his age, so
no,
he can get a double dose. Or
no.
she's playing doctor,
She's
like,
she's playing doctor.
oh,
Like if
right.
you and I'm gonna end up showing that later today. It might end up being later in the stream. It is freaking absolutely scary that what this lady is doing to this kid. And
If she's
and
if
and, there,
she's
and she goes, he just kept getting bigger. Like this kid kept getting bigger and he was having these violent outbursts, and they were warning her, and she even said this, that they were warning her that he could become violent, but she didn't like, she thought it was because of the medicines that they were giving him. And it's like, oh my god, she knew that this kid was a ticking time bomb, and she sent him to a public school because she was homeschooling him initially to start out with, homeschooling him, and then he just got too big for her to handle, and so she started sending him to a public school. And you know what it made me start thinking of? What was that? The lady they made a movie about her with Sandra Bullock, about this
oh,
kid
yeah,
with
yeah,
Sandra
yeah.
Bullock.
Michael, the guy who he played for the Baltimore Ravens,
Yeah,
The Blind Side,
yeah.
Michael Lewis wrote the book, yeah.
I think that's what she was planning on doing with this kid,
Boy. What,
because
but instead of like, they were all for Old Miss football in the movie and, I think in real life or something like that. What was
yeah,
she thinking of? MMA? UFC?
I don't know.
Probably.
I have no
Uh,
idea. All I know is
hey,
this kid
shout
was,
out to, Dana White, my son's gonna make it big.
I mean, she had so many different excuses for this, and I was watching this going, "Oh my god, this has got to be just absolutely insane." It's Farrell. Oh my gosh, Farrell. It's been
Oh,
forever.
oh, hold on.
I
I gotta
You got more?
hello, hello. Can I call you back in a sec? You there? Hey, can I call you back in a sec? I'll call you back in a bit. Okay. That was a call from um UK. I gotta go soon. But
Yeah, that's fine. I understand.
so it's my friend Joanne from. She called me on the WhatsApp thing, which is kind of interesting. So I can do this. Oh, this is so cool.
Yes. So how bad was have the earthquakes been there? Because they said you
Let me.
got 7.1. That was in the news.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I just go into the earthquake checking thing and just do English or Jeff. And what do I say? Earthquakes. Oh, okay. Yeah, they said an earthquake. Oh gosh, this one was on the Japanese scale. It was the the magnitude was 5.3, but it was in Western Kanagawa Prefecture, which is just west of Tokyo, outside of Tokyo. I had no idea where it is. There's no major tsunami warnings or anything like that.
Okay.
But the magnitude was, it was 5.3.
Because they were
It wasn't.
reporting that you had a 7.1 this morning.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I know you just had another one or another warning.
But well, where I am in Tokyo, even though it was a 5 point something in Kanagawa, I'm in central Tokyo, so it was like a 2 or something like that. I got this
Okay.
warning. And I just want to see, where was this? Okay, yeah. Oh, so by the way, here's an interesting story. The author of The Blind Side is Michael Lewis, right? So he wrote like Liar's Poker and stuff like that. So in the 1980s, he wrote a follow-up book called Pacific Rim or Pacific Rift or something like that. And one of the stories was he was actually focusing on a paper by an economist named Kaoru Oda. He was an economist with the Tokai Bank, which is now merged with Mitsubishi MUFJ. Anyways, he thought this was an interesting paper I think it was published in English. I know because I have it. And he said, what would happen if there were an earthquake, the Nankai Trough, like the big one that hit in 1923, hit Tokyo? So he had all these analysis, and this was in what would happen in terms of the yen, in terms of the stock market, how yen would be repatriated, and how things would move, right? And Michael thought it was a very interesting article, and because at that time he was working at Solomon Brothers, he was a bond salesman, and there was a trader who kind of talked like that, who worked out all these blaze scenarios in his mind. And so I think he went and interviewed the article. I got to find it somewhere. He interviewed him and did it. So when I read that article, I actually wrote to Tokai Bank to see if the guy was still working there. And I said, can I have a copy of your paper? And yeah, he sent it to me. So I have it. I think I scanned it, and maybe I'll do a video on it. But that was interesting. So it was kind of the theoretical, like what would happen if this big one hit. And this is the warning that they put out this week, which was kind of the first by the Japanese cabinet to say, hey, the probability of the Nankai Trough earthquake, the big one happening, has significantly increased. So we're going to put the nation on watch for a week. But then, look, I don't know what the baseline probability was before this, but it's now like 0.5%. So I don't know. I'm just at face value, 0.5%. Oh, do I just go, that is nothing? Or do I go, ooh, this, of course, does it even matter that I don't know what the baseline is? Like it's maybe 0.0001%. I have no idea. But do I have to worry about 0.5%? I'm Asian. I should know about math and numbers. But
yeah, you're probably the worst at math.
Yeah. No, well, when they say Asians are good at math, you see how many Asians lose big at the gambling table? You think they would know.
You would think after the Nikkei like tanking that maybe that they don't know math very well.
Oh, is this a mother from hell? Oh,
yes.
Just his mood was not stable.
This is where she's talking about.
Were there also additional diagnoses at this time of oppositional defiant disorder, explosive disorder, etc.?
It depended on, which every time you go into a crisis state, that doctor would throw on another label.
Okay. But those were on offer at this time as well. And it sounds like you're describing there is a behavioral reflection of these disorders, right?
Oh, yeah.
Is aggression any part of that?
Absolutely.
Like I said, she was going to multiple doctors. It was earlier on.
And so I agreed to put him on the medications that I have.
And she kept on saying autistic medication is what she kept saying. She was like, they wanted to put him on this autistic medication. I'm just like, there is no medication for autism. I could be wrong, but I've never heard of medicine.
I wonder if there's any. She's not, for example, like Lindsay Lohan was script shopping, and that's where you forge a script to get the drug. She's not doing that.
No, she's doctor shopping.
Legitimate means, but she's bringing. She is depending upon the uncoordinated knowledge of physicians, and then taking him to each healthcare provider and not informing that they're already being treated me or receiving
That's a possibility.
medication. Yeah,
I think there's a
if she's
possibility.
doing that, that's all manner of endangerment.
Yes. Yes. And
It's Florida, right? Yeah.
that's what I was watching last night. Just listening to her talk about this, and her explanations for this was just saddening. Why is Judge Kavanaugh's accuser on your screen? That is not.
Oh.
My emotions would escalate. I could feel my heart pounding. I could feel, struggling with, how to get the situation
all about
in hand,
her.
especially seeing as my daughter was recovering and her brain was so fragile, that I was just, I was trying to manage the best I can, and I was failing.
And if we're talking narrowly about aggression or anger,
Mhm.
or maybe just overly emotional,
Mhm.
Do you fear that can be mistaken to someone by someone who doesn't know them as just aberrant behavior?
Okay, wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Let me like,
Got another one?
Yeah, I gotta get going. Okay.
All right, Max,
Sure, man.
you
Okay.
take care, brother. See you
Okay,
soon.
take care, man. See you.
All right,
Bye.
man. Bye. Everybody go check out Max. Yeah, so this lady was completely just going after it's so bad. It is absolutely the worst thing that I saw last night. And I'll be covering more of that this morning, just not right now, because I know I don't want to bore you guys to death, because well, that's how bad I can be. Oh boy. Well, let's see. Let's see. All right. Well, and of course, it seems like they're not calling out camel toe on her things again. Of course, yeah, the woman is totally unhinged. Your wife has taught children with special needs for 25 years. What happened to that teacher is one of your fears. Also, parents like this one are her greatest problem as a teacher. Yes. Congratulations to your wife, Jack Buck, because that is a lot. That is a hard amount of work to do. Only Max Miro would still be streaming during an earthquake. He said it wasn't that bad, and that's just on the outskirts of Japan. He's more towards the center where he doesn't have that problem. It doesn't affect him the same way. He's used to those kinds of things. He said they only felt about it too by the time it got to them. And also, Japan's is more prepared for earthquakes than the U.S. is, believe it or not. She's still working or retired. She's just bad. Yeah, she's just bad. And then of course we have yeah, we'll like I said, we'll go into her testimony a little bit more towards the end today. It gets worse. It gets much worse. So, and I just really have to bite my tongue on some of this stuff here. So, Israeli troops launch new assault into Gaza's Khan Yunis as mediators push for ceasefire talks. They launched a new assault Friday into southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis, targeting Hamas fighters who the military claims still operate there despite repeated offenses. As American, Qatari, and Egyptian mediators renewed their push for Israel and Hamas to reach a ceasefire deal. It's not to say, should he not say what he's thinking? Oh, I have to be very, very cautious. I've been walking on thin ice past couple of days. Military said Friday as warplanes struck 30 Hamas targets in the city, including fighters and weapons storage sites, searching for Hamas tunnels and other infrastructure while engaging combat above and below ground. The mediators push aims to resume indirect negotiations for a ceasefire that have been on hold since Sinwar's predecessor was deleted in a presumed Israel blast in Tehran on July 31st. I find it very suspicious. I find it very suspicious that they keep saying that they're looking for a ceasefire whenever the Netanyahu came here to the United States and spoke in front of Congress, and the vice president didn't show up. Could have been there, could have showed some sort of support or solidarity, and didn't show up for that. Of course, she's also been avoiding the press like crazy. She doesn't give any interviews. She only does a speech whenever she has the teleprompters in front of her. Makes me a little suspicious of what is going on with her. Makes me a little suspicious of what exactly is going on with her. Parents might be the expert on their kids, or should be. Doesn't mean they're the expert on legal matters and abnormal psychology. Sometimes they refuse to face certain realities about their kid. And that's exactly what this lady has done. Like I said, I think she was trying to do something that makes no sense. And I haven't, there's so many questions that I have that this is supposed to be an impact statement about her child, but it ends up not being. Sinwar has already been closely involved in negotiations from behind the scenes. Hamas officials and mediators have said Hamas negotiators and blah, blah, and blah, blah. Now, they keep spreading these kinds of bad information. They let Girl Scouts around Kamala, but never around Joe Biden. Yeah, notice that? Yeah, we noticed that. We know there's a lot of things we notice. But this is also very interesting. This next thing I'm going to show you. DNA on weapons implicates ex-U.S. Green Beret in attempted Venezuelan coup, federal officials say. Federal investigators say they found the DNA of a decorated former U.S. Green Beret on some of the 60 automatic weapons he allegedly smuggled from Florida to South America as part of a failed 2020 coup attempt against Venezuelan Nicolas Maduro. The allegations were detailed in court papers filed days after Jordan's Gondreau arrest last week and contained the strongest evidence yet linking him to illegal arms trafficking that facilitated that amphibious raid, which ended with several fighters killed and two of Gondreau's former U.S. Special Forces colleagues locked away for years in Venezuela. The plot, exposed by AP 2 days before the incursion, was carried out by a ragtag group of Venezuela army deserters whom Gondreau allegedly helped arm and train in neighboring Colombia. Gondreau later claimed responsibility for the push, but he said he was acting in concert with the Venezuelan opposition to protect democracy. And he also said he was in touch with the then President Donald Trump's administration and made no secret of his desire to see Maduro gone, even though there's no evidence U.S. officials blessed this invasion. See, this is in 2020. In 2020. When did this happen in 2020? And why would he say that this has to do with Donald Trump and his administration? And all of a sudden, this is being brought up now. This is why I'm very curious of where this is coming from, because AP doesn't print a story that is going to look bad for the AP. So this plot was supposedly exposed by by the AP. We'll look at this a little bit deeper. The loft has bond to secure Goudreau's release. Goudreau, let's see. They put up a $2 million Manhattan loft to secure his release, but prosecutors appealed it, and now it's up to a judge in Tampa, Florida, where Goudreau was indicted to determine whether he should remain behind bars pending trial. Prosecutors arguing that Goudreau is a flight risk presented what they called overwhelming evidence that he knowingly violated U.S. arms control laws and that he tried to hide after learning he was under investigation. Those efforts include moving his bank accounts into cryptocurrency, obtaining a Mexican driver's license, and allegedly sneaking back and forth across the U.S. border into Mexico and Canada, where he was born and lived until immigrating and enlisting in the U.S. Army. Internet searches on his cell phone allegedly, okay, that's weird, included he was doing internet searches on his cell phone. Allegedly, those searches included how to run and stay hidden from the feds, how to successful fugitive on the run, and what happens if I run from the law. Although the 48-year-old has no criminal record and was a 3-time Bronze Star receipt in Iraq and Afghanistan, prosecutors argued he was both a danger to the public and flight risk because of his firearms expertise, access to a sailboat, and an Air Force base in Tampa, and a $10,000 a month in military retirement disability income. That's $10,000 a month in disability? Something doesn't make sense here. If this guy was a 3-time Bronze Star recipient in Iraq and Afghanistan at 48, and they're saying that he's doing internet searches on how to run and stay hidden, that makes no sense. Goudreau thoroughly researched, acted on illegally leaving the United States and evading law enforcement detection. Now that he has been charged with the serious violations that carry significant prison sentences, Goudreau has every incentive and wherewithal to flee, this time for good. Gustavo Garcia Montes, an attorney for Goudreau, pushed back on prosecutors' portrayal of his client and pointed out that Goudreau voluntarily met with federal investigators prior to his arrest. He is attending school, has attended court several times, deposition, and lives at an Air Force base. He is not a flight risk. The prosecutor said evidence to be presented at Goudreau's trial includes sales records for firearms, sound suppressors, night vision devices, and laser sights, some of which have serial numbers that match weapons seized in Colombia by police when the plot began to unravel. All require U.S. government export license Goudreau didn't have. While prosecutors say they didn't say how they obtained Goudreau's DNA, they said it was found on 2 of the approximately 60 automatic weapons that were assembled at the Melbourne, Florida warehouse where Goudreau was living and his company Silvercore was based. From there, Goudreau and his defendant, Ykazi Alvarez, a Venezuelan living in Colombia, allegedly arranged to transport weapons to Colombia on a private plane owned by Alvarez's boss, a Venezuelan businessman with close ties to the government of the late Hugo Chavez. Weird. This is the weirdest thing that I've ever seen. Yeah, $10,000 a month in disability is a freaking fantasy. I just don't, unless you were a high-ranking official, 10K is not, maybe it has to do with his 2 Bronze Stars or 3 Bronze Stars. Maybe that's why it's so high. I don't know. That just seems like a damn awful lot. Prosecutors allege Goudreau also spent $90,000 on a yacht he used to transport. Well, Jesus, that's nothing. That's like 9 months worth of money. If he's making $10K a month in disability, I'm just saying. Good morning, Nosy Rosie. Good to see you. Good to see you. Prosecutors allege Goudreau he spent $90,000 on a yacht he used to transport ammunition, body armor plates, and magazines for AR-15 rifles. Some of the weapons never made it because the yacht sank in the middle of the Caribbean. Goudreau and an unnamed associate had to be rescued by a passing natural gas tanker. Goudreau's Odyssey is the subject of forthcoming documentary titled Men of War, co-directed by Gaten, Miami-based filmmaker Billy Corbin. Gayton registered a Florida production company with Goudreau in 21. And is described on court records as his girlfriend. Oh, okay. His attorney at the bond hearing said that the two had lived together for 2 years while Goudreau attends the New York Film Academy, but upon being handcuffed outside of Gayton's apartment, Goudreau used an expletive to tell the FBI she wasn't his girlfriend. If convicted, Goudreau faces between 10 and 20 years in prison. Huh. So this is the weird part, because I think this was I had not heard some of this stuff before. I remember hearing about the plot, but it was sort of quieted. Does that make sense? Where it, like, you only heard a portion of it, you didn't hear the whole story. And I never remember seeing a the weirdest thing. There's like tons of me right now. I don't know what just happened. Let's see. We'll just remove that. Let's see. Edit stage. See, this is what I've got. I've got like 3 of me. Remove. Okay. Craziest thing just happened. My whole browser crashed, and I don't know why. There's 2 shizzies. Yes, there's not anymore. I don't know. Shizzies multiplying like tribbles. Tibs up, man. That's the weirdest thing that's happened today. Where was I at on this? 29, 31, 19. We'll just back it up to there. Yeah, I was getting ready to show you guys this particular thing here, and all of a sudden it just went boom, beep, 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 beep. Gremlins in the internet. I have a feeling it's StreamYard. That something funky is going on. And if it keeps it up, I'm going to cancel my damn StreamYard subscription. Like, because that shouldn't be happening. And ex-Green Beret led failed attempt to oust Venezuela Maduro. So this was the thing that was supposedly brought about by AP. The plan was simple but perilous. Some 300 heavily armed volunteers would sneak into Venezuela from the north tip of South America. Along the way, they would raid military bases in the socialist country and ignite a popular rebellion that would end President Nicolas Maduro's arrest. Okay. What could go wrong? As it turns out, pretty much everything. Ringleader of the plot is now in jail in the U.S. on narcotics charges. Authorities in the U.S. and Colombia are asking questions about the role that this muscular American advisor, former Green Beret, and dozens of desperate combatants who flocked to secret training camps in Colombia said that they've been left to fend for themselves amid the coup. The failed attempt started. Why does this sound like the Bay of Pigs? I'm sorry. Why does this sound like the Bay of Pigs? Good morning, Shizzy Whizzle Teats. Good to see you, Boosh. It's good to see you. Good to see you. The ringleader of the plot now in U.S. jail. You're not going to take out Maduro with 300 hungry, untrained men, says a former U.S. Navy SEAL who trained some of the would-be combatants in first aid. Okay. This bizarre, untold story of call to arms that crashed before it launched is drawn from interviews of more than 30 Maduro opponents and aspiring freedom fighters who were directly involved or familiar with its planning, most outspoken on condition of anonymity. But see, it's amazing to me that they're bringing this story up. They're bringing this story up about the stuff going on in Venezuela at the time that you have an election. And we still don't know who's running the country. Does that make sense? So here's the thing. Both sides in Venezuela are claiming that they've won. You've got Maduro that claims he's won and he's not leaving. He also controls the army. Then you have the opposition leader that claims they won because they found that the voting machines, they have the tallies printed out of the voting machines, and they're saying, no, these are the actual tally. So I'm wondering why we're not hearing any more about what's going on in Venezuela. We're hearing about things that happened in 2020 with some freedom fighters that had a failed coup attempt. Who's running our country? Oh, sweetheart, who's running our country will amaze you. Because if you think that there's a president running it, well, they've already made it quite clear that he is not capable. They've already proven that time and time again. And they're leaving it in the hands of somebody who is even less capable. Basically an empty vessel, which, most guys like empty vessels like that. Just saying. She's an unlikable vessel too. I mean, I can't think of a single person that's talking up about her that isn't being paid to talk about her. The poll said he wasn't capable. She says he hasn't been capable to run Walmart checkout since 2016. I know. Nope, I prefer the live wires. Many saw the plan as foolhardy and appeared to have no serious attempts to seek U.S. military support. The Colombians checked with their CIA counterparts. It was never clear if Kraft really had the inside track on the Venezuelans. We knew everything back in Colombia. More recruits were arriving to the 3 camps, even promised. So they've got this long story. And you're telling me that a reporter, a New York investigative reporter, Randy Hirschkaff, and a New York investigative reporter, James in Delray Beach, Florida, were the ones that were able to uncover this. So you're telling me that the newspaper was able to unravel this? Half the people at AP don't know the difference between an illegal and an immigrant. They don't know the difference between an illegal immigrant and a migrant. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. They look at it, they go, oh, that is a hole. That looks like my boyfriend. Yeah. AP, you're telling me that 2 reporters were able to uncover this. Yeah. First puppet president. He's been hiding for 60% of his presidency. Biden can run a lawnmower. Can't run a lawnmower. Yeah. He can't drive a car. He had to have somebody holding the steering wheel for him that was probably shitting their pants, Well, more than likely, Biden shat his pants first. Steve Fenner runs the whole world, but apparently he forgot about the U.S. Yeah. Some of the meetings we had to pay for, that's how infiltrated they were. God. This has got to be some sort of joke. And you know why I don't trust the AP on this, if they're saying they broke the story? Because AP is the same people that accused people of plotting against the governor. These are the same people that would make those kinds of stories. You don't remember Whitmer, the little plot that was happening there? Yeah, that was a really weird one because, well, they were found not guilty because they had what 13 people that were trying to overthrow Whitmer or take her hostage or something, but it was run by like 10 feds. Yeah. Remember them trying to make him look cool in 2021 by driving that souped up truck? Yeah, the passenger seat had a steering wheel and Biden almost broke his neck. Yeah. I know. I remember. Yeah, that was wasn't that supposed to be an electric truck or something? I don't know. I want to drive. Yeah. No. No. That wasn't him driving. Whitmer Shitmer. Yeah. Yeah, I have little faith in the AP. I mean, I could do a quick search for Whitmer. Whitmer. I think I'm spelling that wrong. Whitmer. Oh, let's just look up governor. Governor Whitmer and put it in there. Seeing it. Governor Whitmer. It would have been old. Let's see. That would have been what in way back. Oh my God. Whitmer. Yeah, this is so weird that you would think that they would have this in here. Category, stories about Whitmer. Nothing. They really don't. Oldest. Here we go. Whitmer. By the oldest story that they've got going back 9,009. Let's see, it's nine. Damn it. 9. Oh yeah, it's thinking. It won't even pull it up. Governor Whitmer. Oh, that's just so hilarious. Governor Whitmer. Alaska Supreme Court ruled Friday effort in recalling Governor Whitmer, West Palm Beach, Florida, Japan. What does she have to do with Japan? They've wiped those stories out. Like, I joke not, whenever it pulls up, it goes to walls. I'm serious. Everything that I pulled up on AP just goes to walls. Lady Macbeth of Michigan. Yeah. He answered every question. And he's grinning like the demented old cootie is. That's absolutely great. I'm so happy. I am so happy. I'm special. Is it Kaiser? Thank you, Welsh lady. This is it, Kaiser. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, I'm falling out of love with anything that the AP says. I really am falling out of love with anything that they have to say. It is so weird to me. So weird to me that they've got nothing. What the hell happened? Oh. In a fight for brother, he was eliminated. I got you. Here we go. Let's see. Present, share screen. That makes more sense. So this guy right here, American sports climber Sam Watson leaves Paris Olympics with a world record, but without a gold medal. Sam Watkins leaves Paris with another world record in speed sports climbing, but without an Olympic gold medal. He broke the world speed record on Thursday for the second time at the 2024 Paris Olympics, but the feat came in the fight for the bronze after he was eliminated in the semifinals. Aww. The 18-year-old Watson, with his favorite for the gold, lost to Wu Peng of China in the semifinals before setting a record of 4.74 seconds in the third place heat. Leonard Vadewez of Indonesia won the gold at the time of 7.57. Oh, okay. That makes sense. All right. I was just like, why? What did he do? He says he's going to take a little break, maybe go on vacation and climb, Eiffel Tower or something. I don't know. That was the first thing he was going to do, get his chocolate muffin that I bought from the village and eat it right after that, regardless of what happened. Okay. I get it. Oh my God. See, this is the kind of stuff that they're talking about. So this was August 7th that they printed this. Oh, he's having false claims. He totally dogged her. And they know it. Like, if you've got a guy that's running for vice president that can dog somebody that's running for president, you know something's wrong. Something's wrong. Like, Vance doesn't even have to try at it. I mean, you guys saw what he did at the airport, okay? So for whatever reason, he was supposed to be showing up to this event and saw that the vice president's plane was there, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to go over and say hi. I want to see what my new plane looks like. And whenever he showed up, she scuttered away. She took off running. She wasn't doing any interviews. And he said, hey, you know what? She's not doing interviews. I've got TV cameras here in front of me. Why don't I give an interview? Absolutely. That was a perfect airport. Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty damned awesome. Like, just came right up. But you notice that the news has not been covering it at all. You can't find anything about that on the AP's wire. See, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here, this is what their election is right here. Oh, let's see. Open up their Google Trends. Hey, that's funny. Nosy Rosie, you mean she isn't doing word salad? No, she's not even giving interviews. She refuses to give interviews. As long as it's a competent black woman who cares about this nation, the American people, and Kamala is the opposite of that. I know, isn't it weird how that happens? Oh, here we go. So this is what you can be expecting. Well, I don't care about that. This is what you should be expecting. A Don Rickles face. It's goofballs. It's like it's like high school prom, king and queen. Like, Trump kept saying how dumb Camel Toe was. Yes. But I'm looking at this. This is your top news over the past few days. This is the only thing that they're talking about. Harrison Walls head to Arizona, where VP runner-up can still make a difference. There's related coverage. Trump heads to Montana. Biden holds social event with ice cream to thank campaign staff after bowing out of the election. A win for the Harris Walls ticket would also mean the country's first native female governor. What? Native American female. What are they talking about? A win for the hair. I'm going to have to read about that because that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Fact Focus. Look at claims made by Trump at a news conference. Trump repeatedly attacks Harris intelligence, claims he hasn't recalibrated his campaign. VP Harris says she's glad Trump agreed to a debate. Wall's military record under scrutiny as Vance GOP questions his service. And you notice that they try to shine these two goofballs in this beautiful bright light. At least Biden continues to get his ice cream like Lieutenant Dan. Oh my God. There's a legal challenge that seeks to prevent RFK Jr. from appearing on Pennsylvania presidential ballot. Harris Walz versus Trump Vance. How it's expanded battle for both Sunbelt, Rust Belt states. And AP decision is what to expect in Connecticut state primary. So you've got that on one hand, and then you've got this one here that this is what AP believes people are searching for on the interwebs. Tell me if this, you know, we're all adults here. You can tell me if this is included in your search. Election issues, Social Security, crime, healthcare, unemployment, voter registration, immigration, abortion, economy, U.S. Congress, race. So race would be at the very bottom. And they're also saying the economy is at the very bottom of their search list, as is abortion, immigration. Their highest search is supposed to be Social Security. I'm confused why that they're saying Social Security is one of the highest looking things. And at the bottom of it, it's race. Now I can believe that, but I don't believe Social Security would be the number one thing. So search interest by state Social Security. You notice the states that they're showing this search is mostly Democrat. New Mexico is pretty solid Democrat. But then they've got a little bit over here in Louisiana. Oh, Louisiana, southern states, and Democrat-run states. Weird. New York, New Hampshire, very little. Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut. They must not care. So that's what they're saying that their number one search is. Crime is their number two search. Healthcare is their number three. Unemployment is number four. I don't know. Your search history would have you locked up for all the cell associated with Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. That dot is Tennessee is Memphis area. Makes sense. I know, doesn't it though? It's like that totally makes. Where the hell is it? There we go. It's Tennessee, right there. Damn it. Yeah, right in the Memphis area. See, Volstorm's closer to somewhere over, up in here. Like this area over here. I'm such a dick. Volstorm, that may have been something I missed. That they're putting ketchup on the tampons and putting them on lunch trays. Tampon Tim, to thank for that. I think that's a horrible name. I really do. Not because of the name. I mean, it's a good idea. I really think that it's a good idea, but it just doesn't work. I mean, maybe something that shows how intelligent that this man is. Like Timmy, my name is Timmy. 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 Jimmy. 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 I mean, who can be mad at a child in a wheelchair? Because that's basically all he is. Okay, tampon Timmy, is that better? Timmy. Oh my God. Oh geez. So this is a win for the Harris Walz ticket. Would also mean this country's first Native American female governor. No, it wouldn't. Because see, if you're born in the United States, you're Native American. Makes sense. Yeah. Yes. You're not from another country. You're native to America. Toy is like, no. Huh? What? Huh? Serious. Vice President Camel Toe and her running mate, balls to the walls, Timmy, are elected this fall. Not only would a woman of color lead the country for the first time. Okay. What color is she? I'm sorry. What if I'm colorblind? I don't know. I don't notice this. But a native woman, that just sounds dirty. You read native woman, it takes me back to the National Geographic pictures that we had in high school, the National Geographic of the native women. I have that image in my mind right now. Oh, sorry. That's just, they ruined us as kids, damn it. Peggy Flanagan, the lieutenant governor of Minnesota, and is a citizen of the White Earth Band. What? Is that a band? Is there a band called White Earth? I don't know, man. Yeah, those National Geographic videos are on YouTube now. Are they really? Yeah, well, it'd be if Trump is elected, then we could have our first felon in office. That's awesome. It would show that criminals can get a job. I love it, Risa. It's awesome. I love that. In recent years, Minnesota had integrated tribal consultation. Yeah, okay. So what does this have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. Walz was the first Minnesota governor to make diplomatic trips to the 11 tribal nations in a state. Okay. An executive order. Okay, so you're telling me that the guy running for vice president is more qualified than the chick running for vice president. And him, as far as him being qualified, he runs away from a fight. I mean, if you want to consider it, yeah. But of course, you got the AP running cover for him. Yeah, the AP is running cover for Tim Walz. It says Republicans are questioning no, and no. No. There's no question. There is no question about this. Okay. It's the Republicans aren't questioning anything. They're pointing out that members of his old unit, we're talking about members of his old unit that he was supposed to be command sergeant major of, that were deployed to Iraq, are calling them out on this. Okay. And you'll see that he stopped promoting himself as command sergeant major because they demoted him before he retired. He got demoted to sergeant major. So he lost command sergeant major. And this right here, I'm not saying that he didn't serve 24 years in the military. Nope. Not saying that he didn't do that. He was in various units and jobs in the National Guard, but his retirement in 2005, that's prompting the criticism from everyone that knows the truth. Timmy is not weird. Timmy. Yeah, this happened this has been going on for quite some time. Every time that he runs, they bring this up. I'm talking about members of his old unit are bringing this up, but they're not talking about that. AP refuses to bring it up. as he ramped up for congressional bid in 2005, Walt's campaign in March issued a statement saying he still planned to run despite a possible mobilization of Minnesota National Guard soldiers to Iraq. According to the Guard, Waltz retired from service in May of that year. Okay. He didn't have to leave the military or retire from the military to run for Congress. YouTube bumped me off. I thought Shizzy was given the silent treatment. No, not at all, Tony. In the statement, in August 2005, the Department of Army issued a mobilization order for Wall's unit. But that's not true. The unit mobilized in October of that year before it deployed to Iraq in March of 2006. No, it was actually, from what I read, it was in May of 2005 that they were getting ready to be deployed, or 2006. There was somebody else that covered this. It was within months that, like within 2 months that he bowed out. And of course, they say there's no evidence except for the evidence that all of his whole unit has shown. That right there has been what it is. And this is not about Waltz or his service. It's just his lack thereof of going to fight with his unit and leaving them high and dry, which he didn't have to do. Because, well, he had other ambitions and other goals. There's no evidence that Walt timed his departure except for the evidence that his unit has shown multiple times over and over and over. After 24 years of military service, Governor Walz retired in 2005 and ran for Congress, where he chaired Veterans Affairs and was a tireless advocate for our men and women in uniform. Absolutely he was. But that doesn't mean that he didn't run away whenever called upon. Before leaving Detroit, where she and Waltz played up their support for organized labor, Herbert Harris on Tuesday responded to a question about criticism of her running mate's record. Listen, I praise anyone who's presented themselves to serve our country. And that's all that and I think that we all should. Okay. But you never answered the question. Yeah. See, you had news reporters that have no idea that J.D. Vance actually did serve. And in a combat role. Yeah. Even Nancy Pelosi didn't know that, but she was all promoting about Waltz. Oh, yeah. Which Waltz never has served in a combat role. Waltz didn't serve in a combat role. Earlier in this campaign, 2018 clip of Waltz speaking out against gun violence said, "We can't make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at." The comment suggests that Walt portrayed himself as someone who spent time in a combat zone. Yes, it is. And of course, they're saying that he enlisted in 1981, just 2 days after his 17th birthday, and entered service as an infantryman, completing a 12-week Army. Okay. While attending the University of Houston in 85, he was reclassified as field artillery cannoneer, as a member of the Texas Army National Guard, later serving as an instructor with the Arkansas Army National Guard. In 87, he returned to Nebraska's National Guard detachment, continued field artillery. Okay. He's never been in a combat zone. He deployed in Italy in a support position of active military forces in Iraq and Afghanistan, but he's never been in a combat zone. And he did pretend to be something he wasn't. So, I mean, Timmy Vance enlisted in the Marine Corps after graduating high school, serving 4 years as a combat correspondent, type of military journalist, and deploying to Iraq in that capacity in 2005. Neither Trump nor Harris has served in the U.S. military. Trump has received a series of deferments during Vietnam, including one attained with a physician's letter stating that he suffered from bone spurs in his feet. Maybe that's why he walks so damn funny. The Harris campaign statement said Walz would never insult or undermine any American's service to his country, and thanks Senator Vance for putting his life on the line for our country. It's the American way. What about his rank? Harris campaigned to Walz as a retired command sergeant major, one of the top ranks for an enlisted officer, but he did in fact achieve that rank, but personnel files show that he was reduced in rank months after retiring, because it's weird that those months after retiring come about the same time that he was supposed to be deployed. Isn't it weird? That left him as a master sergeant for benefits purposes. Because he didn't complete the training. That's already been shown. Tampon Timmy's bio has already been getting an adjustment. Of course it has. Minnesota's National Guard has said that Walz retired before completing coursework in the U.S. Army Sergeant Major's Academy, along with other requirements associating with his promotion. Yeah. Jimmy. He was frocked to sergeant major. He was never actually promoted because he didn't complete. Yeah. Oh, what Nancy Pelosi wants for American. What? Oh, yeah. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Yeah, Nancy Pelosi, what a dimwit she is. Good Lord. I am so surprised. I am so surprised that they keep her even around. All right. We're going to go back to Brendan Durpa's mom, because this right here is it's going to be the time that I go and grab myself a fresh cup of coffee, but I don't want to play the coffee song. So this is pretty sad stuff here. There's pretty sad stuff with this lady. And by the time I get back with my coffee, it should be time. Man, getting a gravelly throat. Here we go. Let's play this thing for you guys, and here we go. All right.
I saw why it wasn't necessarily a great placement, but
At the time, it seemed right.
At the time, it seemed like.
And I'm sorry, I think you said this, the plan on frequency of contact with him was going to be you're alternating with your husband.
Going up every month, monthly.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And did that proceed as planned?
We started out, but then COVID hit, and
Yes.
And everything got shut down to where we couldn't go see him. We couldn't spend any time with him. The facility, if you remember, COVID just shut down facilities.
Right.
Where families were torn apart and they couldn't see each other. And during that time, a lot of staff was getting COVID, and the clients there were getting COVID. They were being isolated in their rooms. It was just a really chaotic time, and we lost the ability to be with him.
Before that,
Mhm.
that certainly sounds like a significant point in time. But before that, was there any sort of assessments of his progress? Any feedback you were getting? How was he doing?
Yeah.
I know,
This lady.
I think in the first month that he was there, they talked about he had a hallucination that he was seeing something in him and saying, keep it away from me, keep it away from me.
Doesn't this give you pause if you're doping up your kid, and they start having hallucinations? Do you think maybe you're doing something wrong here? And something's clearly not right here. Clearly not right.
I know his behavior was enough to where, though, we could go and take him out. My
Hey,
aunt
Christine.
and I would drive to see him. I flew into Atlanta, and my aunt and I would go and see him, and we took him to the zoo. But again, he always did well when he was with a trusted adult. So,
And you have to understand that this kid is a teenager. It's not like this is some 5-year-old or 2-year-old or 8-year-old or 9-year-old. We're talking about probably at this time he would have been 15 or 16, and he was already 6'7". You would think she's talking about some like little tiny kid that he's having, adjustment issues. No, we're talking about a 6'7" kid. Yeah. Oh, he knew it was bad. And wait until you see the way that he talked to the police. Yeah. He knew what he was doing was wrong. This lady unleashed her child into this school. Teenager, lots of testosterone. Oh no, lots of drugs this kid was on. Lots of drugs that this kid was on. I mean, I'm hearing like she's already given him like multiple diagnoses, yet I don't think they've able to been, and I think that's probably why they did not have the trial. I mean, they had basically a sentencing hearing because he pled no contest. Bullshibbies. Yeah. It was Shiza. Snarky tomato queen. Hope you're good this morning. Mixed with testosterone. No wonder he fracking lashed out. And only over something really minor. Here, I'll show you the original video on this that I pulled up. That sort of was okay. This is going to be disturbing, just so you know. This will be disturbing to some people. Don't worry, I'm not monetized, so it should not get me demonetized, but I am going to share this with you.
Quite frankly, it was shocking.
Investigators say when a teacher's aide at Matanzas High School took a 17-year-old ESE student's video game away, he chased after her into the hallway and, according to the report, pushed the victim's.
That right there. Knocked her unconscious. Picked her up off the ground. And this person over here did absolutely nothing.
So hard, it took her off her feet in the air.
Yeah, they just walked away like not looking, don't care. Stomping her.
5 to 6 feet, knocking her.
Punching her.
Unconscious.
This guy comes up and this guy right here is a Marine, and he comes running up and tries pulling him off and is unable to.
Could have been a homicide. When you push people down like that, they hit their head. You never know the outcome.
Am I going to jail? Yes, you are. For how long? I do not know. I don't make that determination.
The 17-year-old seen here with campus resource deputies.
Yeah, they're going to cut out a little bit of it, but wait until you hear what he has to say.
Allegedly continued his assault as the teacher's aide lay helpless on the ground. Investigators say surveillance shows the student kicking her, then getting on top of her and punched her in the body and back of the head approximately 15 times.
He's 6'7", 270 pounds, and he's
6'7", almost 300 pounds.
in high school. Okay, that's a big kid.
You gonna be cool with Deputy King and I? You.
Yeah, that was his response to the police. That were like, "You're gonna be okay with us?" Tells him, "F you." then spits at him.
I don't want to go to jail.
Look at me. Look
I
at
have
me.
more important places to be.
I understand.
Have more important places to be.
The sheriff says Matanzas has 2 SRDs at the high school, but it's a big campus, so it took them several minutes to arrive.
Fortunately, other students and other faculty members, administrators came and intervened.
The students charged with felony aggravated battery and, of course, will be subject of school discipline, including possible expulsion. As first responders tended to the victim, the 17-year-old detained and being walked away. According to the report, he started to spit towards the victim and said when he comes back, he's going to kill her.
Yeah, he got 5 years. Just so you know, in 5 years. In 5 years, he's going to be out. Yeah. In 5 years, that kid's going to be out. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? In 5 years, he's going to be out, and this is the lady begging for leniency. No, it's 5 years, and then he's got another, I think, 10 years of probation that he's going to be on.
So it sounds like some degree of progress, perhaps COVID, that limits your contact. Or
An
even
excuse.
limits
An
family
excuse.
contact.
An excuse
It
after
throws
excuse
the
after
staff into
excuse.
disarray. It sounds like it further isolates the people that are residents. After that, so it sounds like things probably changed. How did it look after that? Did he remain at Springbrook?
So the original plan would have been for him to come straight back home from Springbrook, had it gone according to plan. Had we been able to go and do weekends and spend time with him, and we would have gotten an Airbnb and stayed with him even for like a week up there, he would have come home. But
Really?
because we didn't have that, we felt like we needed a step down. So that plan would be for him to step down and then come home. The Medicaid case manager had recommended connecting with APD and using a group home as a step down.
You hear that, right? Using a group home as a step down. They know this kid is violent. They know that this kid is violent. They know the damage that he can do. So she couldn't handle him? Absolutely could not handle him at all. And she admitted to that multiple times on the stand. She said, no, I could not handle him. He was too big. He won't get the counseling and the therapy he will need to learn to be a better human in those 5 years. No, he won't. And that is scary shit. That is very scary. That this kid in 5 years will be free to fulfill his promise on that teacher. And this lady, as she's begging for her child's life, the teacher that he attacked hasn't been able to work. She more than likely is constantly looking over her shoulder, knowing that in 5 years she's going to have to run and hide. And more than likely hasn't been able to work since this happened to her. Yet here this lady is wanting to blame everybody except for the child. Not wanting to take any responsibility for her, but how her life was impacted over all of this.
Agency for Persons with Disabilities.
Yes,
So based on that recommendation, is that the next step? Is that where he goes to a group?
that was the next step. And then while all the planning was going on and everything to even further cement that was what was going to happen, my husband suffered a massive heart attack. And we were dealing with his health as well.
If we can just back up 1 minute.
You notice that this is a very unhealthy family. The daughter has issues. The son has issues. The husband has issues. And yet she's the only one that is suffering. She's probably so disabled she can't turn her head to look over her shoulder, literally speaking. Yeah.
The Springbrook. Do you feel like they ever got that medication combination correct, or was it still there's something off?
No, he was still off. He was still off. And again, I mean, it was just such a time. I mean, COVID was such a factor in all of this.
No, it wasn't.
But no, they never did the medication.
Oh, COVID was its fault. The medication was the fault. Everything else was the fault, not the fact that I wanted to give this child the perfect cocktail that's going to get him to calm down. Not knowing that this kid does not know how to act. I've got nothing against homeschooling children if that gives them the best education. But what kind of social integration was he getting to know that this is not the way to behave? What kind of social integration was this child getting? You know, you got these parents that their son goes and shoots up a school that they don't even know about this, and they're in prison because of his shooting up a school. Okay. Yet this lady has done more damage and verifiably out of her own mouth to this child, and she's not suffering any repercussions because of it. Yet she claims that she's the victim and her son's the victim because of COVID, because of bad medications, horrible doctors. This is not his fault. Jeez Louise.
Medication watch. They never took him off of all his medications. They just added to it.
You probably heard the testimony about some behavior problems while he was at Springbrook.
Because of you,
Do you have
woman.
any sense of what undergirds that? Is it medication not being right, or do you know?
I think
Yeah, she's not qualified.
That was an objectionable question. I agree. So let's go back to the
And they're going to eject again because she's giving her medical opinion on this, and she's not a doctor.
group home. Okay, where is that?
the group home is in Palm Coast.
Okay, what is it? Describe it a little bit.
It's an intensive behavioral group home. He was, when he was assessed, he was level 6, and they were able to accept level 6 clients.
What's your understanding of what that means? What's level 6?
Level 6 means that he needs the most support,
Substantial support.
substantial support.
And if somebody is needing that much support, then he's just being passed through the damn system. And this lady did nothing to help along the situation. You know that this child is violent. Parents shouldn't be punished for their children's crap. However, the parents like her should be. I think she should be held accountable for her actions leading up to this. I don't think she should be held accountable for what he did to that teacher. There's no excuse. He should get full sentencing for that. But this lady right here, she should be held completely accountable to what she did to the child leading up to this. I mean, it'd be no different than being an abusive parent, beating your child daily, and I mean, did just the horrible things that she did to him. No, I'm with you. Snarky. Yeah, no, be snarky as hell with this lady. She pisses me off. Dude, oh, geez. Controlling, manipulative. I mean, I can't think of enough words to put how I feel about her.
Did you concur with that? That sounds right. He needs
Yeah.
that.
I did.
They're
You
going to.
probably heard Dr. Pritchard's assessment of the level of support needed.
Mhm.
He handicapped it as
Mhm.
low. Do you disagree with that?
I absolutely disagree with that.
Yeah.
Objection, she's not qualified to answer now.
Suspend.
Yes.
Did Dr. Pritchard interview you as part of his background work here?
No, he never reached out.
Didn't need to.
And available for.
He does not need to. He's assessing this child, this person. He doesn't need to be assessing her. Because if he did, more than likely he would say, this psycho lady needs to get out of this kid's life. Not, Oh, jeez.
for that purpose?
I would have.
So Echo begins, the group home begins when?
Mm.
November of 2020
November 2020. And it lasts until?
until his arrest.
Are you visiting him? Are you seeing him in the group home? What's this extent of your engagement with him during this time frame?
My husband and I would alter every 2 weeks, that I would go one, and then 2 weeks later he would go. I would go and bring my mother with me. She and I would take him out to eat. We would take him shopping, sometimes back to her house. My husband would take him and get a hotel room for the weekend and spend weekends with him. When we had holidays, we would rent Airbnb for 3 to 4 days, and as a whole family, go together to the Airbnb.
It sounds like he was getting along okay at Echo.
He was.
I don't remember when along the timeline it is, but at some point he's back in the public school system while at Echo. Is that correct?
That's
Yeah, she's advocating for her child. I understand all that she's advocating for her child, but it's almost as if she doesn't even care what this kid did to another person. Like, there is no emotion there whatsoever. I mean, it's the system. It's because he's black. It's because he's autistic. It's because he had a hard upbringing. He had all these bad things going on. Yet they're refusing to bring up the problem that this kid's violent. She has no empathy for the teacher that was body slammed to the ground. I mean, he hit her so hard that she was unconscious before she even hit the damn ground. If she hadn't turned around at that moment, he might have snapped her neck. I mean, you're talking about close to 300 pounds coming at you and hitting you with everything that they've got. If just imagine, I'm 6 foot, but I'm just trying to picture someone 6'7" coming at me. Full-blown temper tantrum like a 5-year-old at 17, then at 18. Here you go, kid. Good luck out there in the world. Yeah. Some of these kids would throw a full-blown temper tantrum like a 5-year-old. Yeah.
correct.
When did that begin and why?
So when Echo accepted him, and I met with Echo and everything, they told me that he would have to go to a public school. And I was terrified of that. I didn't want him going to a public school, but they forced all of their.
Then she knew this kid was a ticking time bomb. And she was terrified. But did nothing.
Clients to go to public school. And they have like 8 or 9 group homes.
So it's a requirement to even be a resident.
It is. It's a requirement to be a resident. And
Then she didn't have to send him there. She needed to get this kid some help. Shizzy Wisdom has a follow-up comment to your previous comment. Let's see, what is it? Average person has. Oh, I know. Okay, sorry. What was the previous one? Your dad used to work in a facility here in Maine that housed the worst of the worst abused children, kids kept in cages, molested, etc. Want to know what happens whenever they turn 18? Yeah. They would have full-blown temper tantrums like a 5-year-old at 17, then at 18. Here you go, kid. Good luck out there in the world. Yeah. Yeah. I think this. I honestly think that she abused this child. I don't have anything except for her words, and her words sound horrible. At the very beginning of this thing, she said, "Oh, he came from a rough area, and he was black." And then, of course, it was also these white parents with having a black child, and the comments that we would get. I'm sorry. that right there, if you think that people are looking at you like, oh he's got no, I no, she is a horrible person.
They assured me that they worked well with the public school, that they were within 10 minutes if they needed to be called. It took, he moved there in November. It took the school system until March to place him.
What were your concerns about public school, the same as we've already talked about?
It is that he easily is overwhelmed and needed substantial support.
They already said he was a level 6 and he would be going to public school. Now she's blaming the system that she put him in.
Echo sounds like tries to give you some assurances to say, wait, we have a support team on standby.
They did.
So the public school experiment begins when?
In March of 2021.
Not an experiment.
Um,
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, at Echo during this time frame, was he doing okay? Is the feedback still decent?
They were managing him. I mean, he definitely in the beginning, when he first went there, had more behaviors where they had it restraining. But then he would go through periods where he would do okay. But there was a definite progression in doing better. Like when he first started out there, he needed a lot more restraints. And then he needed less as time
Apparently,
moved on.
a hell of a lot more.
Did you feel that, if he's going to be in public school, did you feel that their assurance to you that they were right on standby? Did you feel that that was a very
She is
important
more than likely.
measure to have in place?
Yeah, I even asked if somebody from Echo could go to school with him. My preference would have been as an Echo staff member attending with him, but I was told that wasn't an option. But again, my hands were kind of tied. This is a place that accepted him, and this is what they told me was going to happen.
Because she couldn't handle him. She sends him off knowing how violent he is. More than likely, they are aware that this kid is violent, but they don't know how bad it is. He needed shackles for restraints. Well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was training an MMA fighter is what she was doing.
At this point, what about, are there additional medical doctors in his life? Are there additional diagnoses?
He had a psychiatrist that met through virtual, because again, remember COVID. So
No, just no. COVID had nothing to do with you being able to meet with a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or any of those others. This right here is such a bunch of bullshit. You're telling me that you're saying, oh, well, he couldn't meet with somebody except for virtual. So, and I will tell you, meeting with someone virtually is a lot different. These previous situations were not the main contributors that caused that day. Her maladaptive ship parenting, not get him proper treatment and allowing him to go to a public school caused that day. Uses COVID as an excuse. See the pattern? Yeah. It's all somebody else's fault. It's all of the this facility that's taking him in. It's all the doctors that misdiagnosed him, the multiple doctors that she took him to, constantly changing. She knew this child. She knew what was best for him. She was smarter than all the doctors, and she moved him around until she got the diagnosis she wanted. Munchausen much?
So everybody was doing virtual then. So he had a virtual psychiatrist. Echo set him up with a primary doctor.
It sounds like we've talked about several diagnoses.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There are kids like him in special needs programs in government schools. They're not public schools all over the country as we sit here right now walking amongst healthy raised children. Yes. If only the government had intervened. Yeah.
Sorry. And then also he had a private therapist
Right there.
that met with him weekly.
Okay, who was that?
Tanya Gilchrist.
Right, okay. Besides what we've already talked about as far as the actual diagnoses, are there any additional at this point?
Not Not that I'm aware of, but I mean, like I said, every single time you met with somebody, they added a new diagnosis to the mix.
Is
Because you kept taking them to different people. This is just a cocktail for disaster. And I'm not a doctor by any means, but if you've got, and I'll use this in mechanics terms if that helps out, okay? If you've got a car that has a rattle and you take it to somebody that says it needs an engine, you go, I'm going to take it to somebody else. One of the things that you don't want to do is take it to a mechanic. He says, well, it needs a timing belt. And so you take it to that mechanic and he says, it needs a timing belt. Let me put this part on there. And then it creates another noise on top of that because you put the wrong part in there. And then you take it to another mechanic and they go, oh, it needs a camshaft. And so they add another part to it. And you take it to another one and they say it needs something else. No. It had a bad engine in the first place. But because you started adding things to it, it made your diagnosis harder and harder. They kept adding drugs to this kid and never letting it stabilize out to find what the root cause of it was. By the time that he's starting to get adjusted to something, she's taking him in for something else because he's manifesting a different problem. So she's basically bouncing this kid from doctor to doctor to get the diagnosis she wants because I don't think she wanted to take care of him anymore. That's the way that it appears to me. That she screwed this kid up so bad by bouncing him from doctor to doctor to doctor, getting the diagnosis, getting the outcome that she wanted, where all of a sudden this kid was no longer her problem. Yeah, I would guarantee you that she experienced the wrath of it also. And this was just her way of going, well, whenever he does blow up like a time bomb, he's on somebody else's head. I could be completely wrong, but this is the way that it appears from her testimony. It appears to me that she was going from doctor to doctor to doctor and not getting the results that she wanted. And
Is there any progress on the medication front? Is it getting closer to right, or is it still just?
see what I mean?
So Echo was the one that would meet with the psychiatrist in Brennan because of the telehealth. So they would like tell them what was going on. And I know the doctor was switching things back and forth. But I do know that he still was on 6 psychiatric medications.
Is there a, at Echo itself, there's a counseling component to it?
Yeah, they have a behavioral analyst. And so they had behavioral goals. The technicians that worked there, they were trained in how to manage his behaviors. They were trained in how to de-escalate.
It sounds like with medication professionals in his life, counselors, that we're talking about optimizing the management, right?
Right, the management.
Stumbling upon some.
No, there's no cure for autism.
No, but you were giving him drugs.
While in the public school system, he is, there is an IEP, right? Individualized education program put into place, right?
Correct.
When was that?
Well, he had to have one before he could start school. So the first one took place in March before he started.
And you're a participant in this process as a parent.
I was.
And what do you understand an IEP to even be?
An IEP is a document that is federally mandated through the IDA, which for him was like, in layman's term, for him, that was what supported his disability. And it was documented his strengths and his weaknesses and where he needed help. And then frequently there's a behavior plan attached to that.
The requirement under federal law to provide targeted intervention services.
Correct.
Okay. And the IEP process, because it is individualized, tell me a little bit about the process. You're a participant. What are we?
Well, and see, I don't know about anything that she's talking about on this or the questions that they're asking. And I guess she might know a little bit about this because agreed, add intense trauma therapy to that list. So if she knows about this system, is she misunderstanding what they're telling her? I mean, I'm not a professional at all, so I'm just curious if what she's saying is true or it's just her understanding of what is going on or how this is supposed to be treated. And there's a possibility her taking him every couple of weeks and taking him off out of the group home to go do things and go shopping and all these other kinds of things, if it's not contributing to the issues. That's what I'm concerned with.
What are we talking about in those meetings?
So anybody involved in his care is in the meetings. That Echo would have 3 or 4 people there at the meeting. I was there. His private therapist was there. The school counselor, the Echo's behavioral analyst, the school's behavioral analyst, the district's behavioral person, the dean frequently, his teacher, the ESE director for the county. It's a big process.
A lot of stakeholders in there. Yeah. And this is a process, this is an IEP process that evolves, right? The IEP itself changes as facts become apparent?
It does.
Okay, and were there in fact changes over the years?
There were changes over the years, yes.
And what are the goals? What's the goal when there's changes? Is it a new need identified or is it something?
Yeah, so it's a minimum of once a year that there's a meeting, and then in between, if there's any issues come up, any changes in the IEP, you have to meet and discuss what those changes are going to be, and it has to be agreed upon and documented.
I see. All right. And you're
Okay.
a voice in that, like you said.
I am.
Right? All right.
Oh,
Do you believe that you were heard? I mean, did what you was what you offered accepted? Was it placed into the IEP?
So, I expressed my concerns about him attending public school. I was assured that they had all the techniques to work with him. They had, specialized skill training that they assured me they would be able to meet his needs.
In your estimation, what was most needed? I guess just big picture. What was most needed from a behavioral standpoint?
Objection, Judge, she's not qualified to answer that.
Sustained.
What were you certain to mention in the IEP?
She said she sent kid away. Parents alternate visiting 1 time a month, and COVID started. The facility shut down video visits. No, they were still she said that they were still going whenever he was under their care, that they would alternate. She would go 1 week, and then her husband would go the following week, and they would alternate back and forth. That's what she said was happening. So she would go and visit him every 2 weeks. Her husband would visit the alternating 2 weeks. So they were there every weekend. One of the parents were there every weekend. I would like to have seen what the results were after he spent time with the parents. I mean, that right there would be something. Oh, you agree? Ran out of space to put that in. Gotcha. Yeah, the video visits were from one therapist, but he had another therapist that he would visit monthly, I think is what she said. Like he had a regular therapist, but he also had another. I mean, there is a lot of hands on this kid. Like a lot of people involved in this. Also, if they're saying that this kid was a level 6 on his aggression, I doubt that they're going to put him into a public school right away. I mean, that would not make a whole lot of sense. If you've got someone that is that highly aggressive, then you're going to have somebody with him pretty much constantly all the time. Makes no sense.
Included.
I have always been very open and upfront with the issues that Brendan was going through. I informed the school of his verbal and physical aggression. I also told them about all of his triggers.
Let's talk about that. Triggers. I think we all know what we're talking about. What
Triggers? So she knows all this stuff is happening, and she's warning the school. So is the school at fault for this now? because now she's suing the school. You know that, right? Like she's filed suit against the school board or against the school system. Imagine she's suing after this. The teacher that he did this to, they're not, as far as I can tell. She wants everyone else to fix the problem. Yeah. A problem that she created, a monster she created.
You're talking about when you say triggers.
It was told to them that being hungry was a trigger. It was told to them being corrected in front of other people was a trigger.
Well, let's go back even further.
Whoa. So you're telling me the kid gets hungry and he gets violent? Or whenever you tell him no, he gets violent? That's not a level. That is off the freaking charts. Way the hell out there. That is like rubber room level. Holy crap. And she knows this. Jesus, please.
For that, what do you understand a trigger even is?
A trigger is something that particular to an individual that can easily cause them to escalate their behavior.
I see. Okay, so now continue.
Okay, so I had told the school, that being hungry was a trigger, that noise was a trigger, that being told no was a trigger, that being corrected in front of other people was a trigger, and electronics was a huge trigger.
So let me get this straight. Because he was hungry, she took away his electronics and corrected him in front of people is why he attacked this lady. Yeah, that's what I said, Nosy Rosie. She's suing. Yeah. Actually, most teenagers are that way, minus the violence. Yeah. He's 6'7", 275 pounds. I would say that kid's probably hungry all the damn time. And a teenager. Hospitalized. Yeah, you think?
And the IEP in turn seeks to take into account
I
what
need more
triggers are
coffee.
and approach them from a certain
That's
angle.
correct.
There's also a behavior plan.
Mhm.
I don't know if it is in the IEP or it's incorporated into it, but that's part of this, correct? A separate document.
It's a separate document as part of the IEP.
Okay. And are you part of whatever process produces that document?
The school's behavioral analyst is the one who formulated the document, and then we had to read it and agree to it.
So you've read it, you're aware of its
Mhm, I am.
contents? Right. And were there also multiple behavior plans?
There were.
throughout?
As time went on, yeah, if a new behavior needed to be addressed, then they would call a meeting and add it to it.
And you said one thing, you said everyone signed it, but I didn't catch what the everyone was you were referring to.
So everyone is the IEP team, which, typically is somewhere between 14 and 16 professionals.
They have an opportunity to review it
That's
and
correct.
in fact must review it because
Correct.
they're signing it, right?
Correct.
I think you just talked about what you believed were the most important aspects of this plan
Mhm.
by virtue of the things that you were talking about, the things you were most concerned about, right?
Correct.
This is so bad. This lady, my
And there are
God.
preventative strategies
There
that
are.
are part of the behavior plan.
There are.
And hence part of the IEP, right?
Correct.
What, you've alluded to a few, but what other preventative strategies are important here in your estimation?
May I read what was on there?
I certainly don't mind. Are you reading from the behavior plan? It's admitted into evidence, Judge.
This lady, man.
I don't know what she's reading.
Yeah.
Would it be the behavior plan? Exhibit number 3.
Yeah, I copied it. If you want me to read directly from it from there, I hand wrote exactly what was on there, but if you want me to read it directly from there, I can.
Whatever makes the state feel more comfortable.
I'll
Yeah, read what's in evidence. So did he have a device? So why did he have a device? He snuck it because it wasn't put under lock and key like it should have been.
Behavior plan.
You,
Preventative strategies we're talking about.
preventative strategies. Use humor with Brendan and build a positive rapport. Avoid negative corrective statements even after behaviors targeted for reduction have occurred. Do not talk about his behaviors in front of him. Avoid correcting, reprimanding, or redirecting Brendan in the presence of peers, as student has a history of becoming verbally aggressive and defiant when approached this way. Emphasize with Brendan, I can see you're frustrated. Is there something I can help you with? Do not take comments personally and use plan ignoring. Use a token economy and allow him opportunities to earn tokens.
Don't look the pit bull in the eyes, because it might just bite your face off. That's what and you're putting this kid into a public school like this. Yeah, don't here. So I'm just imagining this. This could be me, and so you take a room full of little chihuahuas, and you throw in a pit bull that's known to have bitten other dogs and is violent. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? You think that maybe the pit bull is just gonna be well behaved? Yeah. Avoid talking about his behaviors in front of him. Yeah. Yeah. This is what they're telling the teachers. Like, walk a thin line around the crazy kid. Don't look him in the eyes. Don't tell him how he's a bad boy. Her little fist is fine, but the teacher was walking away from him. That was because she took away his Nintendo Switch. Oh my God. And 5 years is not enough, because this kid is threatened that he's coming back after her after he gets out. And yet this parent is suing the school system for this.
Remind him of the strategies he can utilize to cope before transitioning into activities and locations. Example, remember, if you need one, you can ask for a break. Reduce transitions across school setting into locations such as the cafeteria, as peers easily trigger severe behaviors. That is just a few of the 25 that were on here. Well, here's another one here. Utilize a calm, neutral tone of voice.
I'm sorry. If all of this is known ahead of time, this is bullshit. If they know all of this ahead of time, there should be no reason why this human being should ever be around another human being. Because you can't have him around food because that triggers him. You can't have him around electronics because that triggers him. Especially if you try to take him away, that's going to trigger him. If you tell him no or talk about how weird or odd that he is, that triggers him. This is someone that should not be allowed into normal society. If every single fucking thing triggers this child of interacting with human beings. Why in the hell is he there? Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. High school asked you to meet with her at coffee the other town. She wanted to warn me secretly about a student that was violent towards girls. Jesus Christ. What the hell is up with this crap? They threw a bottle of Gatorade bottle and busted your daughter's lip. It's lucky that's all that happened to her. I know his mom, she's 90% of his problem. Yeah. This lady is too. Oh my God.
When communicating with Brendan across all settings and situations.
You believe these to all be important directives?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it's everything triggers the kid.
And is your assessment of their importance based on your firsthand experience with him and employing those strategies?
It is. And for the times that I didn't employ those strategies.
So you cannot correct the child in any way, shape, or form. You're basically you have to ignore them while paying attention to them. You have to restrain the child. If he's around food, electronics, other people, other humans, he feels any sort of perceived threat, he's going to attack. And it's like, Stephen bless that teacher. Sadly, that teacher could be fired for doing that. We need places for children and adults with these issues that don't involve endangering other kids. Jesus.
Jeez.
We'll talk about the incident a little bit, why we're here.
Mhm.
One aspect of it first. You saw were you here when the video was played, the body worn camera?
I was.
And
You know, I don't know, Zach. Are you gonna spank a 6'7", 275-pound kid? You have to remember this kid was homeschooled until she couldn't handle him anymore. Mm. Mm.
did you see and hear Brendan being quite upset?
I did.
Okay. Have you ever seen him like that before? Have you ever seen him use profanity, be that upset?
I've seen him use profanity when he's upset, and I've seen him say things like, I'm going to kill you when he's upset. All very transient.
Very transient?
If you've experienced.
Dude, it didn't sound transient whenever he told the police that. Whenever you get a threat like that, that is not transient. Jesus.
Before something like this before. Let's start with I'm going to kill you. I'm assuming that was never followed through on, right?
Never.
Do you view?
Yes, it was. It was very much followed through on. You would say whenever a kid comes running at a teacher full speed, picks him up off the ground, body slams him into the ground, and starts pummeling him, I would say that he's pretty much following through. Whenever they say that whenever he gets out that he's going to come and delete her, I would say that's pretty much something that you should take as a serious threat. Has there been any actual document? Yeah, by about 20 different psychiatrists, psychologists, and everybody else. Why so much shiz? You are boring us. Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad you feel bored. Welcome. Be bored with the rest of us.
View it as part and parcel with these disabilities we're talking about?
I do. I mean, it was.
Sustained.
There's a manifestation meeting that's held in the wake of this. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What is, for starters, your understanding of what a manifestation meeting is?
My understanding is that when a behavior occurs
Ah.
in the school that a typical student could stand for discipline
Exactly.
for, possibly suspension, expulsion, that if a student with an IEP and a disability, there is a manifestation meeting where all of the team members come together and discuss the incident, discuss his behavior and his responses, the staff's responses, to determine whether or not the behavior was a manifestation of his disability. Because if it is a manifestation of his disability, the school cannot expel.
And it's all the aforementioned persons that we talked about, they're all.
You're about to
all of
find
this
out,
as well.
Mike.
There were 14
You are
professionals
about
in
to
that
find
meeting.
out why you need to be
Yes, there were.
And when
be
roughly
removed.
was that held?
That was held, I got it really down. I believe it was the 23rd
Of
of February,
Okay,
a couple of days after the incident.
That's what I was getting
Yeah.
at. Shortly thereafter. So
Oh, really? So, Bite, guess what? Guess what's about to happen to you? You're about to find out. You don't like the channel, you're welcome to leave anytime. Yeah, you're about to F around and find out really, really quick. Because all I have to do is just say, mods, bye-bye. That's all it takes. That's all it takes to make you go away. Thank you. Thank you for playing. Yeah. Nah. Hey, goodbye. Yeah.
So is there discussion in the manifestation meeting of how the events unfolded?
No, he's removed.
There was all what had occurred.
Yeah. My mods know whenever someone comes in like that they're just trolling. They're looking for attention. Don't worry, they'll be back. That's what happens. Huh? What happened? No worries. And Friday, you'd work. Oh, don't worry. I had one yesterday that tried the same crap. So,
And who is there a chair? Is there someone who's leading that discussion, or where is this information generally coming from?
I don't recall who chaired it. It's in the documents. But I just know like the people that were present. I don't know if it was the dean that chaired it or if it was the director of ESC services.
And then there is a conclusion drawn, a manifestation of determination.
That's correct.
a manifestation
That's correct.
determination.
And what was the conclusion here?
That the behavior was a manifestation of his disability.
And that is reduced to a document, correct?
It is.
So his disability was just a manifestation of his disability. Him violently attacking someone was just a manifestation of his disability. It was because it was somebody else's fault. Never at once has she taken any responsibility. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Was there, to the extent that you can recall, specific discussion about why that conclusion was drawn? Did the professionals weigh in? Do you remember? Or
There were a couple of behavioral analysts in there. There was a school counselor, school psychologist, his psychologist, based on how the event occurred, what was reported to the group. These were all targeted behaviors, and it was obvious his behavioral plan had not been followed.
His behavioral plan. Oh, they weren't listening to him. So you're supposed to cow down and bow down to the most violent person. What is this, prison that you said? I guess is run by the same people. So that's how you go, spare the rod. Something. That's how that go again. Obvious to whom? Yeah.
And there is, of course, mentioning or underscoring at this point of his several significant diagnoses, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
To include ADHD, right?
That's correct.
And sensory disorder,
That's correct.
behavioral impulse control disorder, right? And yes or no?
Yes,
Mood disorder and
yes,
autism.
yes,
It's all part of this mix from which this conclusion is drawn.
that's correct.
Lord Jesus, he did
There was a
it.
mention of also a history
know.
of seizures, correct?
There is a mention of that, but he has not had any seizures.
And then there is, lastly,
Yeah, if you give the wrong medication to a child that doesn't need it, they can have seizures. She's been medicating him, bouncing him from psychologist to psychologist, psychiatrist to psychiatrist, and this is before she puts him into this group home. Why she put him in the group home, knowing that this child is going to be absolutely violent, where he needed to be sent to a mental institution, not a group home. This, if there's somebody that is triggered by every single thing that happens in society, normal human beings don't get triggered by. If every single damn thing is triggering this child, why in the hell is he in some sort of group home? Because if you hold up a pen to him, he takes that as an aggression and attacks. If you walk away from him, he takes that as aggression and attacks. If you look at him, if you correct him in any sort of way, if you look at his electronics, if you tell if he gets hungry, just about every single thing triggers this kid. And if every single thing is triggering this kid, why is he not in a mental institution? Why is he in a group home? What? Because if he was in a mental institution, mommy and daddy wouldn't be able to take their adopted son out on weekends? That's what it sounds like to me. Crap.
mentioned discussion of, in reaching this conclusion, medication and side effects for medication.
That's correct.
Do you have any way of assessing his emotional maturity?
Objection.
Yeah, I object to this crap. Do you have any way of assessing his emotional maturity? No, it's not her job.
She's not qualified for that either. She's not a psychologist. She's his mother.
Sustained. Restated.
He's been in your life since he was how many months old?
5 months.
You worked at a juvenile detention center after college. Some new psych doctor felt it was okay to cold turkey stop a kid's lithium. He had been on it for 2 years. That wasn't fun at all. Yeah, just imagine that the kid being on lithium and then being on other drugs. And other drugs. And other drugs. Like, I know this for, like I said, I'm not a doctor, but I know that whenever we put our dog on medication, it wasn't something that we could just give him a whole bunch of and then take it away from him, because it would cause him to get really sick. And also we had to know what medication he was on, because some of the other medication could counteract that medication or double the amount of other things. So we had to be very careful on what we were giving him. And that was why it was so important whenever we switched to a different veterinarian, that we had to let them know what medications he was on. And then they could wean him off of one medication and wean him onto another. Because just a quick withdrawal would have caused the dog to probably go berserker. Yeah. Yeah, a teacher had to take a teacher task about her DX IEP that fidgeted, help her short-term memory conversation. The teacher was properly trained for ADHD student needs. Yeah, you can pass away from lithium withdrawals. I don't know. I've never had to worry about that. Probably should, but never. No.
Old.
And you've seen his physical, emotional
5 months
development,
old.
correct?
That is correct.
As a result of that years of experience with Brendan, do you have a way to handicap or assess his emotional maturity?
Objection, Judge. She's not a psychologist. She's his mother.
Exactly.
Okay.
I do have reports.
But
Oh, I have reports.
what about just his sophistication?
Hearsay.
What can you tell us about that?
I can tell you that, he's always had difficulty with making friends. He had difficulty.
Well, no shit. Who wants to be friends with somebody if you look at them wrong, they beat the crap out of you? Christ, lady. He's always had difficulty making friends because we kept him homeschooled. We kept him locked away. It's because he was a different color than everybody else. You think? Jeez.
With sharing and cooperation.
Sharing, cooperation, things that you do in normal society. Like have no problem like being kind to other people. No, he couldn't be kind to other people.
And following rules.
Following rules. Like rules should not apply to my child.
All the things that I typically, I'm trying not to, things that I typically would see with my younger clients.
Younger than 18 years old.
Correct. I worked with mostly birth to 3 up to 8.
There's another question at the end.
Okay, stay, please.
Has anyone, since February of 2023, has anyone reached out to you about this case?
Lots of people,
What's lots?
hundreds
Yeah.
of people across the country. I've had behavioral analysts. I've had people in education, especially special education, reach out to me, families with children with autism.
Listen, lady. One of my wife's friends has a child that is autistic. He's nonverbal autistic, and whenever he is verbal, he can be very violent and can really really take a swing, and he doesn't even know his own strength. Okay. And they have him in a school that caters to his specific needs. They've known this since he was a young child, and they started working on setting this up because they realized he was autistic. They didn't know how bad he was very early on. And if you knew this at 5 and you were still doing the homeschooling thing, if you said at 5 months old he was showing this, this is bullshit. She knew that this stuff was happening and did nothing to curtail it. Did not get him the help he needed until it was way too late. Maybe she felt that all she could do with a child like this was homeschool. No, she didn't. She controlled the. We don't even know how far on the spectrum this kid is because she's been doping him up. There's a possibility that he's got brain damage from all the drugs that she's been pumping into him. High concentration cannabis extract are being used on autistic people. Their brains are wired differently. I don't know. Yeah, exactly. She never addressed his needs.
People, it sounds like they know a thing or two about the topic.
They do.
Some of these, of course, have already been submitted as an exhibit, but do you find that there's been a lot of support coming your way?
I've had a lot of support from the autism community, from the from behavioral analysts, and from the special ed community.
Yeah, but because they're not getting the whole story. They're not getting the whole story. They're only seeing one little portion of this. This is disgusting. Because she's getting lots of support, but exactly, but they're only hearing the lies that she's telling them. Like this child had behavioral issues since she first got him whenever she adopted him. He's been having these issues, and she didn't address the issues until it was much later in life, where she couldn't control him, she couldn't handle him anymore. And then she handed him off to other people. By then, she had already run who knows what kind of cocktail of drugs through the kid, how many different psychologists, psychiatrists, how many different psychiatrists at the same time. So, you know, all you that are out there in the autistic and mentally handicapped society and everything, you know, showing her kudos and, oh, she's done so much, and then none of this is her fault, and simping for her. You've been lied to by this lady.
The Arc of Florida also reached out to me.
Hey, shut up.
The state of Florida wants to put Brendan in prison. Do you think that's a good fit?
No, I don't,
Why?
because I don't think he'll survive prison.
So where do you think would be a good fit for him? Another group home? Put him back into normal society? So he can do this again? What do you think is going to happen whenever he goes to prison? Yes, as a parent with a kid that has autism, you need a team, a good, solid, well-educated team. This is not something you walk alone with, but this is what she did. She was taking control of, she has to be in control. She has to be in control. There's like a lady in CT a few years back that had a pet monkey, was feeding it human psych meds and shocking it went bizarre and ripped her face off. Right. To me, it seemed like she saw a paycheck from the beginning. No, that it was, she's got Munchausen. I would almost guarantee she's got Munchausen. I would bet it off the top of my, just from her interaction and the way that she's talking. This is someone that has to have people around her that are hurting. And if they're not hurting, then she puts them in a situation where they're hurting. Yeah, if the behavior started at 5 months, this is a you problem. I think that she's doing this and you know, and I can go back to it, but her daughter was in the hospital. Her husband was in the hospital. Everybody seems to be in the hospital except for her. But she's the caretaker, and she's put down upon. And she's getting all this help from the autism community, and they're feeding her ego. She wants him institutionalized, but not prison. She's right. He wouldn't survive because those facilities don't have the ability to handle his disabilities. But does he have disabilities, or is he just drugged up? Is his mind so twisted because of what she's done to him that he has no idea what's going on around him? Is he truly autistic, or is it that he's just like bonkers? It's true. Only if the therapist only listened to your husband's ex-wife's side of our son's issues, he would be the way worse off than he now is. He goes to college this fall, 4.0, no discipline issues in 5 years. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if this is something that she created.
That he's
Yeah.
either going to be kept in confinement or he's going to be put in general population. He spent 6 months in confinement in Jacksonville, where he was allowed out 1 hour a day.
What's wrong with
Because he can't be in normal society without losing his shit.
confinement?
It's not good for mental health. That's a well-known that confinement.
No, this is your opinion. If this person, if every single fucking thing, sorry, watch my language. If every single thing triggers this kid, then he needs to be locked into a damn rubber room. You watch a lot of courts on YouTube to deal with these families and children of his age with exact problems. Check out Metropolis or KLF. You'll see why and how they start behaving this way. Yeah. This right here was the kid that had his Nintendo Switch away, attacked his teacher, picked her up off the ground, body slammed her, and started pummeling her in the body and in the head until they had about 10 people pull him off. That's what case this is. This is Brenda Deppa.
It is not good for mental health not to spend 6 months in a row where his medications were stopped cold turkey. Each time he ran out of the medication, the jail wouldn't reorder it, and they just stopped his medication cold turkey.
What state? Florida. State of Florida. He filed no contest, and the judge sentenced him to 5 years with, I believe, 10 years probation. This is at the sentencing. This was 2-3 days ago now that he was sentenced.
He went through withdrawals and isolation.
Why wouldn't general prison population be a good fit then?
General population is not going to be a good fit because the inmates, they see that he's different. They see that he's different, and they are either going to use him to.
You're guessing. You're making stuff up that necessarily is not true. There's a possibility that that he goes in there and he attacks somebody, and they don't tolerate that kind of crap. Because this child cannot be corrected. He cannot be talked to. He cannot be contained. You have to cow down to every single need that this child has because there's something wrong in his head. I agree with her. He should be locked into a mental facility and never allowed to get around people again until they can figure out what exactly is wrong with him. And I have a feeling that she is the one that's doping him up. Oh, exactly. And I think that's exactly what she's been doing. She's been doping him up to the point where, yeah, he's probably having serious withdrawals. Meds she pumped into him do change the electrical synapses and receptors of the brain and cause damage. Wiring of the brain synapses is different in those with autism. What if he doesn't have autism? That's what I'm talking about. What if he never had autism? She started giving him drugs at a very young age. We're talking about 5 months old, started giving him drugs. I don't know, because this is the way it sounds to me. Maybe he had a mild case of autism and she started pumping him full of cocaine or something. I don't know. Looking for a special pill instead of just
accomplish things that they want to accomplish by trying to be his friend.
Objection.
She has no foundation for this. She doesn't work with the Department of Corrections. She's never
Exactly.
worked with the system. She has a basis for her.
It's just,
Do you feel he would be vulnerable in?
Yes, all because she couldn't deal with
I
it.
do.
You heard some testimony from the first state witness, Suzanne Klein. You were here for that, correct?
I was.
Her
You might be right.
Department of Corrections,
I was.
talking about
Yeah.
mental health
Scary, isn't it?
services, I guess let's
Correct.
call it that.
Yeah, look at this kid over here. This is the child that picked up a teacher and body slammed her. Yeah, I have flashback. Can't stand her either. I'm with you, Volstorm.
Why wouldn't that work?
Objection, Judge. She is not a psychologist. She can't render treatment.
Yes.
She doesn't know what would not work for this population.
Mr. Tyson, you're going to have to establish a better practice.
That's fine.
Sustainable.
Did hearing the testimony of Suzanne Klein allay all your concerns?
No, it did not.
Did it allay any of them?
No, it did not.
You fear that Brendan might.
Yeah,
be
he sees the
survived.
camera. He's acting for the camera now.
Sustain.
You testified that you fear for his very survival.
I do.
The judge has an option here of committing him to the Department of Juvenile Justice. Are you aware of that?
I am.
Do you feel differently about a commitment program to the Department of Juvenile Justice as opposed to prison?
I'll be honest that I've researched prison a lot more than I
Oh,
have
it's more than
the
just that.
juvenile justice. I'm in Facebook groups with,
When is as much as you want to talk about that, you also have to understand why those hospitals were shut down. Those hospitals were shut down because they were mistreating their patients. They were keeping them locked up in their own feces. That's why those hospitals were shut down. They were mistreating their patients. So, yeah. And those patients could have been moved to other facilities, but the great state of California let them loose. So, and most of those that he shut down were in the state of California. He was shutting down the worst of the worst. They were basically locking people up in there. Yeah, understand it. They needed an overhaul. Yeah. This kid needs to be in one of those lobotomies. Yeah, pretty much. It was worse than that. Yeah. Was it good what he did? No. I don't think it was good that he unlocked them and put these people out on the streets. But there were a lot of people abusing the system, and trust me, there's a lot of people that abuse the mental health system. And this lady appears, with all appearances, appears to be one of those that abuses the mental health system.
families of inmates, so I understand that system a lot better
No,
than I
you
do
don't.
juvenile.
Okay, fair enough. Have you made any efforts to explore community-based options?
I have.
What type of efforts have you made?
I got a list of APD group homes, and I
Absolutely,
started
Rich.
calling to see if there was one that would be willing to
That's
take
so
them.
right.
I reached out to residential facilities to see if there was any residential facility that he would be a fit for.
Let's stick on group homes for 1
okay.
minute. Any
No, you had him in a
there?
group home, and clearly
Yes,
it didn't work.
I found an intensive behavioral group home 20 minutes from my house that has agreed to take him, who says they have a bed for him
Available when now?
now.
Okay. And this is in the on the west coast
It
of
is.
Florida,
It is.
Tampa area,
It is.
with an awareness of Brendan's needs.
Yes, they've screened him. They've met with him online.
Oh, he's totally prepared to go to a mental hospital now. So they can dope him up some more. Therein lies the other problem, because you can't find the right kind of professionals that are qualified to deal with these kinds of people. The system is totally broken. But yeah, she's saying, "Oh no, they've got a bed for him right now. They've got a place for him right now." Does Sling Blade sound familiar to you? Got it. Mashed potatoes. Why? Because he did wrong. Because they had him doped up.
They've talked to him. I believe, I'm not positive, but I thought they had talked to his tutor. And then they talked to me. They know
Tutor?
all of his needs.
Mhm.
And Brendan has been in custody since February of 2023, so
That's correct.
18 months or so.
That's correct.
Okay. Have you explored any transition type options moving from incarceration to community-based?
I have.
Okay. And I think you started to talk about this. What were those
Yeah.
efforts?
So there is a residential facility in Florida through Flyland where they've agreed, they've sent me an acceptance letter that they would accept him. And then if need be, after that, they have another facility in New Jersey that is a partial hospitalization program where he would live on campus. They also will take him. And then another residential facility, Onyx, has agreed to take him, along with, there's another program called Harmony that is matched up with them.
Harmony? That's some sort of,
Harmony Recovery Health, I believe it is.
that's some sort of offshoot of Onyx? Is there
Yeah.
anything there?
Well, they're
No, none of these are going to help him. It has been made very obvious that none of this helps him. I don't understand people like this at all. It is very clear that this child, which is on the verge of being an adult, at 17, if at any age you've not been able to make eye contact with him, correct him, stop him from misbehaving, or be able to control him whatsoever. Yeah, he needs a date at eHarmony. No, I thought it was the remote control because he's got lots of triggers. Everything triggers this kid. If everything triggers this kid, there is no amount of hospitalization that will happen that can do this outside of putting him in a straitjacket. And that'll trigger him also. They need to get to the root problem of this. I don't think the prison is going to do much good for him either. But geez Louise, this is just, oh, God. This lady is the problem.
They're not together, but the person who set us up with Onyx is also setting us up with Harmony.
eHarmony needs a date.
These, to my understanding, though, at least from a residential aspect, are short term. Is that right?
Like 6 to 8 weeks.
Straight jacket and a lot of lithium. I don't
And the
know.
hospitalization, partial hospitalization could be months.
So if Brendan were given an opportunity for
Yes.
a community-based sentence, you talked about a group home that has committed.
Exactly.
What about returning home?
And that's the same way with her. She's been given him who knows what kind of drugs that got him this way. I mean, I think if you got her out of his life and out of the picture with a competent group of people, that they would find out a lot more about this kid. But I think her meddling in all of this has created the system that's made it this much worse, is her meddling with it. Because if they're going once a week, there's somebody that's taking him out of the group home and spending the night outside of there. What kind of drugs are they feeding him while he's there? What kind of things is she doing to him while it's out? Yeah, she made him worse, obviously.
That didn't work at some point along the way here. So is that an option?
It's definitely an option.
I seriously think
We
she's
want
got
him to come home.
Munchausen.
What's different?
One is we're not in the crisis that we were in before. Things have kind of settled down a little bit. My daughter doesn't live at home anymore. I'm taking more classes, and this last year and a half, I have walked through so many fires and I've come out stronger.
Oh, you're the victim here. I got it. Yeah, her daughter left. Her daughter moved out. I would love to hear what this daughter thinks about her mother. Notice the daughter isn't there speaking up on his behalf. You notice the dad isn't here speaking up on his behalf. It's just her. How much this has affected her. Wellstorm, and there it is.
To where I talk to Brendan every day.
I
And
bet
when
you
Brendan
do.
and I talk, if he's upset about something, he calms down by the time we get off the phone. The periods when he was in jail, when there were some behaviors, were periods where he was kept away from me, that he didn't have access to a phone for weeks. And that was when some of the behaviors occurred. I feel like Brendan and I have such a bond, and that I think that Brendan will do well with me.
He'd be welcome home.
He would be welcomed home.
How else might that be structured? What other adults would be in his
No,
life?
do not let this
My
kid
husband,
get anywhere near her
um,
again.
Is there, as well as my 24-year-old son. And my husband and I both work from home.
So if this were structured as a
You all know the school leaned on her to testify what a good he was to get leniency on the sentence. Yeah. Screw that school. Yes, he needs me. Yeah.
community control, which is like a house arrest,
Mhm.
which is house arrest, excuse me, could that work?
It absolutely could work.
No.
That, like I said, my
No.
husband and I both work from home.
No,
We have another man that has been in Brendan's life since this happened. He's a school resource officer. He lives 15 minutes away from us.
no,
He also will
No.
remain a constant in Brendan's life. We have,
Is that, before we move on from him, is that
no. Let him back into that house. This kid is a ticking time bomb. This kid is a ticking time bomb. If you ever known a pit bull owner, and I love pits. I will tell you, I love pits. There are certain pit bulls though that is a matter of time before they snap. Not all of them, but there are some pit bulls that there is a matter of time before something triggers them and they snap. And they talk the same way that this lady does. Delusions of grandeur. Oh my God. Like, oh, but not my dog. I can control him. They can control him until he bites your face off. And then whenever it happens, it's just like, well, it's just because, something triggered him and I should have known better. He's lying it to melatonin. Yeah. Good Lord.
Jerome Powell? we're
Jerome
speaking
Powell.
about?
Mhm.
Okay.
We have Tara and Rob Ferry that are here with us that live in our neighborhood. They have a son with autism, and they are also a support system. Rob, he educates or he tutors students in computer science. He's offered to work with Brendan.
It's the owner, not the breed.
So,
Yeah.
so far, these aren't just hypothetical adults.
No.
Like they're in.
They're in his life. He talks to Jerome pretty much daily.
Okay.
Sometimes multiple times a day.
You're familiar, of course, he's working locally in the school with it.
Go put owner bingo and download your card. Oh. Yeah, that would probably be every single thing that she's saying. Like I said, one of my closest friends had a pit from a really early age. That pit is no longer around because she got some sort of cancer and they had to put her down. That dog was the absolute sweetest dog that you would ever run into. I don't think it was full pit, but it had. Whenever you saw this dog, you were like, "Oh my God, that is a pit bull." It was. It had the cutest eyes. Like whenever it would look at you, it just had these little sad eyes where you're like, "Oh," like those big eyes, big sad eyes. Oh my God! But she was a little shit. She would climb up on top of the table and eat tomatoes. like jump up onto a table because there were some fresh tomatoes there and eat them. And she was an absolute sweetheart. Not a mean bit about her whatsoever. It might have been because she was fixed early. I don't know. But she was just a really chill dog. You could put her in a room of other dogs and she would lay down on her back and show her belly every single time. She was an absolute little sweetheart. First thing I did was get her fixed, but also training structure that you do daily. Yep. And hippo, but also, yeah, understand the breed. Yes. You got to know that those dogs have to have that kind of like really know that they can something can trigger them. You need to figure out what those are. And this lady, oh God.
Is teacher Eugene Lopes.
I
correct?
am. Mhm.
Would there be any continuing engagement there possible?
I would hope so. I hope that Jean will remain in our life forever.
Any other adults there that could have some sort of meaningful impact here?
We had Peggy and Doug Harward that were here last time.
Yeah, you had the support system earlier and it did not help. You had this support system set up before and it did not help. What makes you think it's going to work this time? That would be my question.
That helped with homeschooling Brendan. They also are a fine Christian family with strong faith who couldn't be here today, but have written a letter in support of Brendan and that they also will remain in his life.
Everyone is will be part of this apparatus. if it comes to that.
Everybody wants the best. My entire family
Yeah.
is here supporting us.
Let's go back to Jerome Powell for a minute.
I agree. I agree, Heidi.
Is that also a placement option?
Jerome has offered to take Brendan. He wants to take Brendan.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Jeez. He wants to take Brendan. He can handle Brendan.
He feels led by God to be in Brendan's life. Jerome has worked as a paraprofessional.
So wait, what about your husband? Yeah, look at her crossed arms. I know. No, some rando guy that has an autistic child also. He can handle them. Your Rottweiler is a big teddy bear. He looks furious but won't hurt a flea. His neighbor best friend is a teacup Yorkie. Exactly. No, just some guy that's in her neighborhood. Yeah. All these people are so willing to help. Defensive posture. Yeah.
And he has worked as a school resource officer. And he has a son with autism. He's married to an RN. They have committed to being in Brendan's life.
Do you feel that this number of people, and perhaps more, this number of people can allay any concerns for public safety that might be held?
I think
No.
we can, because Brendan's always
No.
going to be with one of us.
No. I'm part of the public and I say no. I mean, if I found out that my neighbor, that their child was like this, that they did something this violent, I would not feel safe knowing that this person was out and about. Because you can't keep your eye on him all the time. You're not equipped for it. Clearly, you're not equipped for it. You have not been equipped for it because you had to go through other means of handling him. No, as part of the public, I say no. What say you, Chad? Let him out, run around, let him have free reign to do this again?
He's not going to be out in public on his own. He will be with one of us.
And do you envision continuing to,
Mm-hmm.
pull the levers on medication and counseling? Is that
I do. His therapist that's been with him for the last, since 2020,
Ms.
Ms. Gilchrist said that she will continue working with him.
Okay.
Yeah, found
she's
someone to
talked
pawn
him
him
a couple
off on,
times on the
too.
phone since he's been in jail. And she looks forward to working with him.
And she's a
And the next massive heart attack and your husband has in the middle of his kid's snack time or when he is hit level 17 on Mario Brothers and you tell him it's dinner. Jeez, yes.
therapist.
She is a
And
therapist.
that's her willingness to engage is based on knowing everything and
No, she knows, yeah, she knows everything, that she's also my personal therapist. She's seen how I've grown over the last year and a half, and she sees that we are able to manage Brendan and that she will remain a constant.
No.
She,
No.
She is a wonderful woman that is available at a phone call.
So what happens in 5 years whenever you can't handle him again? Whenever you get sick? I'm telling you, this lady has Munchausen. Every sign of it. Oh my God.
as the judge decides what to do here today, is there anything else you feel he needs to know?
Brendan has, he's had a hard life. He started out as a foster care baby who struggled. And
Okay. This part is what I wanted to get to. Listen to her very closely. Wipe everything out of your head and listen to what she says here. Listen to her excuse.
yeah, she knows everything, that she's also my personal
Just listen
therapist.
really close.
She's seen how I've grown over the last year and a half, and she sees that we are able to manage Brendan and that she will remain a constant. She is
A little too
a
late.
wonderful woman that is available at a phone call.
As the judge decides what to do here today, is there anything else you feel he needs to know?
Brendan has, he's had a hard life. He started out as a foster care baby who struggled. And he's felt abandoned by his birth family, and he felt abandoned by us when I sent him to South Carolina. He struggles with autism and behavioral issues. But other than that year where we had just extreme chaos from medical stuff going on, I was able to manage Brendan because I knew Brendan and I knew his triggers and I knew his needs and his strengths. And I beg you to let him come home with me. I want my son back.
A little too late. A lot of a little too late. God, this lady, insufferable. So you guys want to see the hearing? Trigger me timbers. Yeah, so abandonment is another trigger. What happens whenever you're in chaos again? What happens whenever you can't be paying attention to him 24/7? Who is equipped for that? Were they following his IEP whenever he attacked? I always refer back to nature versus nurture. Yeah, there's more to this also. There's more to this also. We are getting there. All right, let me show the sentencing here. It's 22 minutes. Give me just a second. I'll present this screen here and show you guys this right here. This is his sentencing. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. Give me a second to do this here. There we go.
All right, counsel, thank you for the detailed presentations. It reflects the extent of work that both of you put into it, and I want to commend you for it and to thank you for that. I know it's difficult. So Mr. Depa is charged with one count of aggravated battery on an education employee. It is a first-degree felony that's punishable by up to 30 years in state prison. So based on the plea that Mr. Depa has previously entered, I accept that plea. I did find it knowing and voluntary at the time, and I'm going to adjudicate him guilty of that charge. I'm moving to the sentencing. So through the testimony, I want to remind you that we started with a competency hearing in this case, and we heard from experts at that point in time. We've heard from additional experts today. And I think,
yeah, this is, if this kid is triggered by being corrected right about now, whenever he gets the sentencing, that would be a trigger for him, and he would possibly turn violent. Why do you think this deputy is moving in closer? Oh, we got more.
everyone, all of the experts, especially the ones that we heard from today, all agree that Mr. Depa does not have an intellectual disability. He has above average intelligence by all accounts. He has educational and vocational goals of his own that he wishes to achieve. He accurately perceives his circumstances. He's got insight, and the experts disagree slightly, but two say good insight into his mental health. And to a large extent, Dr. Harper, Dr. Spence, I believe, and Dr. Pritchard agreed on most of that. In that context, then.
So you hear that? You hear that, what they just said. They had professionals look at this kid. They don't see him as being autistic. They see him being well aware of his surroundings, that he has goals. Got to go hands on. Can't give Al Sharpton any ammo. That's crazy. That he's well aware of his situation, that he is well educated, he is not an idiot, and that autism is not part of his diagnosis. He may not be medicated at all. That may be why he is acting the way that he is.
And with regard to, I am not forgetting, of course, that Mr. Deppa has been diagnosed with and suffers from autism spectrum disorder.
Okay.
And although
So they are saying he does
this
have it.
event was senselessly violent, I don't want to lose sight of the fact that at the time of this event, Mr. Deppa was 17 years of age. However, this was not an isolated event. The history goes back to as much as Mr. and Mrs. Deppa tried everything they could to provide for their son, their adopted son in that regard, resulting in a number of Baker Acts. I heard as many as 6. I could only find 3, describing the problems as yelling, screaming, hitting. We had in March 22nd of 2019, there were 2 battery charges. They went to juvenile. There was a juvenile diversion.
2 battery charges predicated why he went to juvenile and why he was in a group home. It wasn't that she put him there. She probably said, "Oh, we'll take care of him. We'll handle this on our own," just like she did with this judge.
Version program. Mr. Deppa was released, I believe, that same day. And a month later, we had another battery charge. Again, there was a juvenile diversion and released. And about 6 weeks later, we had yet another battery charge. And again, there was a diversion with regard to that was successfully completed.
So this has been going on for some time, since he was a juvenile. You want to put him in with other autistic child? No, because that would set him off. This kid has been violent the whole time. As soon as he gets around people, he turns violent. This kid he's attacked multiple people. Every time that he is released, he attacks.
We also had while at Echo, starting in November of 2020,
That's 3.
At a group home, there was
4.
violence and aggression both towards the staff and also towards
5.
the residents there.
6.
On December of 2021, there was an extremely aggressive fight by Mr. Deppa on the bus that even the bus driver indicated he could not break up. Even when the other individual disengaged from that, it continued on for a fairly long period of time. We have aggression, as I indicated, with the Echo staff and the residents there that go through March of 2022. Violence in August of 2022
7.
with staff. And then, of course, we have this incident that happens in February of 2023, February 21st, 2023. So I would suggest to you that this is not an isolated event.
No.
It's an event that shows the progression of the aggression and violence that Mr. Deppa was exerting on those that were around him. I did listen carefully to the expert testimony that we heard, including Dr. Pritchard, Dr. Spence, and Dr. Harper. It's not often I get to hear 3 PhDs in the course of a sentencing. I listened very carefully to what they had to say. Dr. Pritchard, as you might recall, actually gave us a written report that we went through, and I had the ability to read that as well. I went back and reread it in preparation for this hearing. Again, all 3 of the doctors agree above average intelligence, no cognitive impairments, good abstract reasoning, performs better because of some limitations associated with autism in a routine where there's structure that's imposed. No hyperactivity, no attention deficits. All of them found that Mr. Deppa was both cooperative and attentive. He's not distracted by other stimuli. I have to say that having observed Mr. Deppa through a number of hearings now, I would share that. He is articulate and thoughtful in his responses to the court. He's been here the entire day without any problems in that regard, participating in these proceedings. And I accept Dr. Pritchard's testimony when he says that Mr. Deppa understands the difference between right or wrong, and he is capable of controlling his temper and his anger. I I also accept Dr. Pritchard's testimony.
No, it's not about the high intelligence. He understands everything that he's doing. She keeps saying that he can't control himself. That's what she keeps saying. But as long as he's been out of her care, he's been handling himself. He's been there in the courtroom the whole time. He's been giving cognitive answers. And we're talking about PhDs. We're not talking about just random people. They're seeing him at different points. They're doing a full assessment of this kid, and they're saying he might be on the spectrum, but he's fully aware of where he's at. He's fully aware of what he's doing. Like I said, I'm no professional on this, but the judge is saying, I've got 3 PhDs that are saying he's cuffed in front. He could and get to those earrings. He also can get to her tie. She's not a security wear person. Yeah. Yeah. Mom, Kavanaugh's accuser, probably went psychologist shopping many times. Yeah.
Testimony to the extent that violent behavior is not related specifically to an autism spectrum disorder. And by that, I mean, it doesn't cause it. It doesn't mean that you can't have that co-occurring or as part of the presentation, but it's not the cause for it. Violence, bullying, aggression are not associated with the autism spectrum disorder. Now, there can be those that suffer and are from the ASD and are very violent, very aggressive. In this case, it was clear from this incident and some of the prior incidents that Mr. Deppa's aggression was extreme and not proportional to the triggering event. It's not related, as I indicated, to the ASD level 1. I do accept that. And I do note that although we've had a history of violent events that have occurred that led up to this particular event in 2023, there's been a significant absence of such events that have occurred since Mr. Deppa's incarceration at the jail. I commend the jail. I commend Mr. Lopes for his efforts in that regard, and maybe they had something to do with that. But I do note that somehow the jail, and that is the structure of the jail, the routine of the jail, maybe played some role in eliminating the violence that was almost monthly leading up to that and occurring much more frequently. I do note from Dr. Spence and accept that Mr. Deppa had problems with anger and aggression. He exhibited both at home and in the juvenile proceedings. It marked his stay at both Springbrook and also at Echo. He performs better with routine and stability. He does not perform as well with transition, and transition is both in space, that is moving from place to place, or in task, changing from one thing to another.
So the problems that he was having was while she was still involved, where she could get to him, where she could have him on the weekends and the husband could have him on the other weekends. So all of the time that he was in those facilities, he was still acting out while she had access to him. But once he was in jail, she didn't have access to him, and he has been behaving while he's been in jail. Does this sound like it's a him problem? All him? Or is there something that you might be seeing a pattern here?
He would benefit from intensive intervention, stable living environment, routine, repetitive activities, therapeutic intervention, prescription medication management, and cognitive behavior treatment. And Dr. Spence did say without proper support that Mr. Deppa is dangerous. In this case, I found no warning testified to by anyone with regard to the rapid onset of both extreme aggression and senseless violence that marked this incident. Dr. Harper testified that predictability and routine are important, and that a stable treatment team, knowing Mr. Deppa and knowing his triggers are important and that they have a stable long-term response. I also accept the testimony of all three experts. This is a lifelong commitment that Mr. Deppa is going to be need lifelong treatment in that regard. Now, I bring all of this up because one of the issues that the court had to wrestle with and determine in order to enter both not only a lawful but an appropriate sentence in this case is one of dangerousness. Okay, so in the words of Dr. Pritchard, this was chronic aggression. It increased in frequency and in intensity over a period of time. It was made worse by the fact that during this period of time, Mr. Deppa matured physically, growing in size and stature in that regard, that made any violent outbursts that he might engage in much more dangerous to those around him, much more likely to cause significant injury, as Ms. Nadish experienced in this particular incident. His violence, Mr. Deppa's violence, relates to factors outside of the autism spectrum. That is, that the violence was not caused by the ASD. He has a lot of triggers, so frequency and intensity of violence is likely to increase. Therefore, for purposes of assessing the court's obligation of protecting the community, Mr. Deppa must be considered to be dangerous for purposes of sentencing with a high probability of violent conduct in the future. Accordingly, I find that Mr. Deppa is not a candidate for solely community-based sanctions, at least not at first. Now, turning to this particular incident, this is, everybody's seen the video. Believe it or not, I think I've only seen it once or twice when it was presented actually right here in the courtroom. That's the only time I've actually seen it. But it captures senseless, extreme violence.
Yeah.
In a very troubling way. Dr. Pritchard testified that was both volitional and an intentional act, in again saying that Mr. Deppa understands the difference between right or wrong. He knew that it was wrong. He admitted to Dr. Pritchard that he knew it was wrong, wished he hadn't done it, but he did it anyway.
Yeah.
Compounding the senseless physical violence was the screaming of obscenities, spitting on Ms. Nadish, both before and during the incident. He pursued her down the hallway, pushed her so violently from behind that she flew through the air and was knocked unconscious when she landed in the hallway floorway. He then proceeded to kick her, then jump on top of her, striking her in the head and body more than 15 times. It took several strong men, I counted 5, but several, to pull him off her. I accept the testimony of Officer Landy, the resource officer, after the incident, that even at a time when Ms. Nadish was still not conscious, that Mr. Deppa was spitting at her. He escorted Mr. Deppa past Ms. Nadish to go downstairs, and he yelled profanities. I'm gonna kill that effing bitch. I'm going to kill you. And then even when he was escorted back sometime later, and Ms. Nadish was just coming to, he again yelled at her that he was going to come back and murder her. I saw no concern for Ms. Nadish's injuries, and Mr. Deppa has never expressed not even a single bit of remorse before this court in any of our many court proceedings.
What the hell?
With regard to remorse. We have on the other side Ms. Nadish, who was a school employee for 18 years. She told the teacher here, Ms. Buchanan, about what the other teacher had said, and that's, as best I can tell, what triggered the screaming profanity from Mr. Deppa. Even there, he spit all over her. By the grace of God, she was knocked unconscious and has no memory of this incident. What would have happened had Mr. Deppa not been pulled off her, I don't want to even imagine in that regard. What she does remember now is the pain that was caused by her 5 broken ribs, her concussion, her herniated discs in her back, her headache, her dizziness, her hearing and vision losses, her cognitive problems, PTSD, panic attacks, all of those things. Sure, she remembers that. So what do we do? I heard the state's recommendation. I heard the recommendation from the defense. With regard to the defense's recommendation with regard to juvenile sanctions, that was the first place I looked, quite candidly. And I looked at how they handled this case coming up to this point in time. I have no confidence that they would handle this appropriate moving forward. So with regard to that, I just don't think that their handling was enough. And frankly, 2 years by the testimony of all 3 expert witnesses is not going to provide sufficient treatment in that regard. So that moves us then to adult sanctions. There were two issues that were brought up, Mr. Tyfke, by you with regard to adult sanctions. One was a youthful offender sanction. Based on the facts of this case, I do find that Mr. Depa would qualify, that is by age, he would qualify for youthful offender, but because of the nature of the charge and how this incident actually occurred and all of the circumstances, having carefully reviewed that, I find that a youthful offender sentence would not be appropriate here. So we're left then with, okay, what do we do with regard to the context of criminal adult
Kid
sanctioning?
knows it.
So in this case, then,
Are playing parts. Damn, Stephen.
the court sentences Mr. Depa to 60 months of Department of Corrections, followed by 15 years Department of Corrections supervised probation. Now, with regard to the initial DOC sentence, giving him credit for his time served, when he goes to the reception center, I'm directing that the DOC conduct a full mental health assessment, as Dr. Klein indicated they would accept from the court, and develop an individual service plan with regard to all of the diagnoses that Mr. Depa has received, and then institute a care plan and putting him on the mental health caseload that is consistent with that individual service plan, including the consideration of prescription medication, inpatient. They have a special inpatient wing and treatment for those in those facilities, and I'm asking that he be considered for all of that. When he has completed his DOC sentence, then he will start 15 months DOC supervised probation. It is the court's direction that he be placed in an appropriate group home, getting the treatment that he needs. That would be continued mental health assessment along with treatment, not just for his current symptoms with regard to ASD, but for all of his diagnosis and treatment that he needs. That he be evaluated for his prescription medication on a regular basis, that continued mental health treatment occur in an appropriate residential setting where he would receive continued vocational training, GED program, anger management classes. Once Mr. Depa is stabilized, the court would consider home health care options, similar to the types that I've heard here today. But stability, safety, routine will be the earmarks of the court sentence in this case. All right, Ms. Clark, any questions?
Just want to confirm, you said it was 60 months Department of Corrections, followed by 15 years?
Yes. Yep. Mr. Tyfke, anything else? All right. All right, Mr. Depa, you'll be remanded as you have been to the Sheriff of Flagler County for pending transfer to an appropriate facility and assessment. Please understand that although you had entered a plea in this case, that you may appeal the court sentence. If you're going to do that, you have to do it in writing. If you can't afford a lawyer, I would appoint one for you. If you have.
Yeah, 16 months. That's just the rest of his, on top of what he's already served. 60 months. Yeah, I think that's what they said was 60 months.
Questions about the basis of what that sentence would entail, about what your appeal might challenge in that regard, please talk to Mr. Tyfke about that and he'll explain it all to you.
And Judge, I'm sorry, I don't think I
This is
heard you say
supposed to
no contact with Ms. Nadish. I would certainly look.
Yeah, of course, no contact with Ms. Nadish, and obviously costs would be assessed. Anything else?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you all. Court's adjourned.
Oh, and there's more. Surprised he got that much, honestly? Yeah. He will reoffend even while in custody. You think? So we now have another one that we're going to bring up here. Give me just a second. This one here is what Mom had to say afterward. This is what Mom had to say afterward.
Much for being back on the program with me. First and foremost, as a mom myself, I can't imagine what it is you're coping with, going through, the thoughts you have every night.
Woe is me.
The nights that you are unable to sleep. I did want to ask you what your reaction was when you heard the sentence.
First of all, Ashley, I want to thank you for having me on tonight. I really appreciate that. It obviously was not what we were hoping for. And we're devastated and just trying to figure out the next steps.
So what did you think was going to happen? Like, were you prepared for 30 years? Did you think it was going to be more than it was, less than it was?
I didn't think it would be 30 years. I was hoping it was going to be less. That I had found some residential hospitals that were willing to take him, and that they had written letters saying they would accept him. And I had a group.
She did that once already. She got deferment. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, 5 times he was deferred. 5 times. 5 times they went through the same process. And then there was another 3 times outside of that, the third one resulting in this teacher being pummeled.
Group home that was willing to accept him. I also felt like that I'm able to manage him now, and through our, how we've been together the last few years. And I had studied up on courses that, as an occupational therapist, I'm allowed to take courses that psychologists and social workers all take. And so I had been brushing up even more on courses involving autism and emotional regulation and things like that.
So, Leanne, Brendan's going to turn 19, I think, in a few weeks, like towards the end of this month, if I remember correctly. He is an adult, which means, as all of us parents understand, when our 17-year-olds turn 18, we don't have the rights anymore of overseeing their medical and making sure that they get.
Yeah. Here's the thing. She's not able to control him. Is anyone else getting booted from live chat? Everybody's been saying that that's been happening. Yeah. That's been happening quite a bit.
Help and care that they need, and he's in an adult prison. What is happening with him? Are you able to know about his treatment protocol in prison? Do you know if he's getting medication, therapies, the things that
does not matter? She has nothing to do. She is the reason why this stuff happened in the first place. She is the reason why all of this crap happened in the first place. She is the one that has led it up to this point. And it's all a woe is me.
not only he needs, right, but also the other inmates need. Because if he's set off or if he's triggered, God help the other inmates who might not know what could happen.
Right. I mean, medication management is huge, and figuring out, how to make that happen. I know that he can sign a release that gives me access to his medical records, and I will be all over that. That when he was in the Jacksonville Pretrial Detention Center, it took an act of an attorney writing them to get him on any meds. They had stopped all his meds cold turkey on him.
What happened when his medication regimen?
What medications was she putting him on? She is the problem here. She is the problem. Good Lord.
Ended.
He was having massive hallucinations. He was going through horrible withdrawals to where he wasn't sleeping. It was really bad. I have been talking to other families that are dealing with stuff like this and getting advice from them. I'm scared though. There is a lawsuit right now against the Florida Department of Corrections over a man who has schizophrenia, and they didn't give him his medications for 6 days, and they handed him a chainsaw, and he killed himself. I talk to his mother, frequently. So I am rightfully worried about when he goes.
Wait, I don't understand this. Yeah, she self-medicated him for big time. Yes. My God, this crazy bitch.
Whether or not he'll get the treatment that he needs.
Tell me about your interactions with Brendan. Like, are you close to the jail where he's been housed? Will you be close to the prison? Does he understand what's going on? What are your conversations like?
So I've been like, now that we've had the sentencing, I talk to him frequently, and I've been trying to warn him, not to trust anybody.
Oh,
To
Jesus.
not borrow anything, to not take anything that anybody offers him. So just trying to talk to other families and prepare him as best as I can.
Does he get it? Like, does he know the circumstances?
Mommy knows best. Mommy knows best. $5 says she's in no way willing to be his legal guardian. You can do that with mentally handicapped people, aka be their legal guardian in adulthood. She can't. I hope they keep this man away from her. She is so dangerous. She is so dangerous. Oh my God.
Circumstance he's in and what lies ahead when he's transferred to a full state prison?
I don't think he gets it. But
he's well
when
aware
I've
of
talked to
it.
him and I've been tearful and crying, he says, "It's okay, Mom. I'm going to be okay." I really don't think he understands what he's going into and facing. I've told him all the horrible things that I've heard about, and he's like, "I'll be okay, Mom."
Look, typical teenagers don't understand what would lie ahead in a circumstance like that, let alone a special needs teenager like Brendan. Thanks for watching. Go to
Yeah. This is bad. This is really bad. This is I know you guys are thinking the same thing I am. But where are we going to get later hoes in this time of the morning? It is, oh my God. Makes my head hurt just thinking about this woman having control of this child. She created a monster from a wooden kid. Chicken and waffles. See? Chicken and waffles. Yeah. Flying biscuit sounds pretty good this morning. Yes, a typical teenager can understand. I don't know. This is scary because to me it appears that this kid is going to reoffend. And as an adult. An adult. If your kid, she made him out to be that's what he had, was a mind of a 2-year-old. With the mind of a 2-year-old, go to court and petition to be a legal guardian past 18 years of age. But this kid is not. That's the thing. He's not low functioning. He's very high functioning. He's very intelligent. He's very aware of what is going on around him. He's very aware that what he did was wrong. He was very aware of all of his consequences. Whenever he reached over and grabbed that paper, he wanted to write something down. He's very well aware of what was he going. Was he born with medical issues relating to his birth mom? No. Yeah, whenever he reoffends, she'll blame somebody else. No, that's the thing. So he was bounced around from foster home to foster home. That probably, and if he was autistic, they probably weren't equipped to handle an autistic child. He could have been. It also could be that he was acting out in each one of these foster homes. As kids that are pulled out of a bad situation, a bad home situation. And whenever you get yanked out into a foster home that the kid doesn't want to be there, the foster parents could easily be just as bad as the situation that they were pulled out of. And they're not equipped to handle a child that's homesick, misses their parents, doesn't understand the situation that they're in, and the kids act out, and then they get bounced from foster home to foster home to foster home until finally someone's just like, yeah, the parents aren't going to come back. That it turns into something much worse. was, from what I understand, is he wasn't 5 months old. He was older than that. But she could fix him. Part of the broken system for sure. Yeah. And it's only gotten worse for him. And Mama was a big creator of this issue. Was her case study to write a book? No, now she's suing the school system. Yeah. Now she's suing the school system for this. Everybody, have a wonderful day. I'm shutting this thing down. I don't know where I'm going to be. I think I've got you set up to send you guys somewhere, but that stream may have already ended. Let me see what we got here. I want to make sure that I send you someplace good, man. Let's see. Yeah. Let's get you guys set up. See what you've got going on. Yeah, sorry for the super long stream today, but it was one of those where I'm just like, damn. Oh, cool. We got looks like Mo is doing the Sarah Boone hearing. I'm going to send all you fine folks go see Zemo. Say hello to Zemo. Yeah, I mean, I would send you over to Meme, but let me see if Meme is going. You guys want to go to Meme or Mo? Well, let's see. Let's see what we've got. See if Meme is actually going. Well, it looks like we've got Meme Copium Cringe Van. Oh, anniversary of the Cringe Van. Yes. You guys, this is the most awesome. I had a 15-second upload for, yeah, this is going to be good. Cringe Van, best born Friday morning. Thanks. Hey, no problem. I'm glad I could bore you guys. Yeah, so you guys are saying Mo, Chairman Mo is the best. Well, some of you guys can go to Mo, some of you guys can go to Meme. I'm going to send you guys over to Meme because Cringe Van is awesome. Everybody have a wonderful day. Say hi to whomever it is that you're hitting the like button when you get there. Hit the like button on your way out, and we will see you guys on a Sunday. Sunday will be a fun day. And I might do a stream tomorrow, just give you an update of some of the stuff I've been working on and some of the stuff we've looked at over the past week. So keep an eye out for Saturday. Might do a stream. And there's always, now don't forget about this, you've got Friday night that's going to be coming up tonight over on The Experts. You've got Sunday Night Spice that we're going to be doing more of Gosney's book. And then Monday, we'll be on somebody's stream on Monday for the Derailed Men's Show, a bunch of guys getting together and harassing each other endlessly with probably vile insults towards each other's intelligence. I usually lose those because my intelligence is as good as the other ones. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll see you this weekend. Peace, y'all.
Now I gotta call somebody to come get me because my car turned into a spaceship and I don't know how to fly it. I'm not an astronaut.